You are instructed to change your course. Any further attempts to sail toward Gaza endangers your safety and places you within an active war zone. If you continue on your route and attempt to breach the naval blockade, we will stop your vessel and act to confiscate it through legal proceedings in court.
Attention, Israel offensive forces. This is Thiago Avila from the steering committee of the Global Sumud Flotilla. We advise you that we are a humanitarian, non-violent solidarity mission to break the illegal siege imposed by Israel 18 years ago against the Palestinian people in Gaza and to create a humanitarian corridor. We carry only food, aid, we carry water filters, we carry crutches, we carry baby formula for the people that you've been starving to death. I repeat, you've been committing genocide for 8 decades and ethnic cleansing against the Palestinian people, and that is absolutely against international law. Once again, we are in international waters, which is not your jurisdiction. We are heading to Palestinian territorial waters, which is not your jurisdiction, despite the fact that you think you can occupy that land, but all of this is completely illegal. The highest judicial authority in the world, the International Court of Justice, in their provisional rulings on the case opened by South Africa against you for the crime of genocide, clearly stated that you are prohibited to hinder any humanitarian mission to get to Gaza. Once again, in a planet of 8 billion people, people despise you starving children to death, bombing hospitals, schools, and shelters. We are here with the conscience of the world, moving peacefully in a non-violent humanitarian mission to take this aid. You are not allowed by international law to stop us. Therefore, we do not comply with your request, because your request is still an attempt to perpetuate the genocide of the Palestinian people. We are here in solidarity with them, so we do not comply with occupation, with an apartheid system, and with a racist and supremacist ideology called Zionism. Over.
We repeat, this is the Israeli Navy. You are approaching a blockaded zone.
It's the Home Lift Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Jay Scott. Episode 138, Battlefield Humanity, with special guest John KLYCZEK. And an all-new top censored news of the week. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
Welcome. It's Thursday. Welcome to the Homeless Left. Welcome. Your non-tribal approach to news. I'm your host, Matt Weinglass. And this is our first week back after a little pause. We had our show on Tuesday. And so we're rocking and rolling again, guys. We appreciate all your support on the channel and what we're doing every single day to fight the censorship industrial complex and the war machine, the U.S.-Israel war machine, American imperialism, Western media propaganda, big pharma corruption, and the capture of both parties. And I say both parties as in we grew up with these parties being told good guy, bad guy, red, blue, black, white, them, us. We're done with that. We know what the real battle is. And the battle is against the powerful that hoard everything, hoard the wealth. This is not an ideological war. This is a war of the people versus the power, and having access to information and having the ability to communicate information, having ability and means to have discussions and debates, by the way, and discourse and arguments, whatever we need to do to communicate ideas. That's part of what humanity is all about. And that's why the battle itself is being fought right here in our space. And I say our space as in you, us, everyone on the ground, the people on the ground fighting up. We have to learn how to start punching up and coming together for humanity. And that's why we're calling this episode Battlefield Humanity. And it's no more obvious than now with the topics we're going to be covering today. You saw in the opening, the flotilla. This has come to a complete breaking point, as they say, for the people. And it's looking as if, well, we'll get into that story soon, but it is really about the courage and the determination of the people fighting against these powerful forces like Israel and the U.S. war machine and the Western media propaganda machine, which is all part of the same instrument. So again, thank you for being part of what we're doing here on the Homeless Left as we go through the day-to-day, week-to-week stories. It seems like the things that are happening are going 10 times as fast as they even did when we first started this show. So we try to keep up on everything. And again, getting this out there, you guys play a role in that. And it's not just giving you the information, it's giving you the tools that we all need. We are learning as well, but we are getting ourselves the tools that we can utilize and have access to when we go into battle. And we go into battle every day. You guys probably feel the same way. You go into battle when you try and have discussions with people, or when you try to make sense of things and you feel pushback, or you feel that people are angry about the wrong things and they're distracted and they're confused. And what can we do to get them back on point and get those critical thinking skills working again? Get those tribal glosses off and start thinking from our own minds. That is the name of the game. That's what we're doing here, guys. So again, we appreciate everything. Thanks you guys for being part of this. We're getting started here. I'm seeing that, we did have a little bit of a late start, but I see you guys coming in now, which is awesome. And we got a big show planned. We're going to be having our co-host Jay Scott's going to come in a little bit. We have our special guest John KLYCZEK. He's got a new article we're going to go through on talking about all of the stuff that we've been talking about every episode, all of the digital ID issues, all of the social credit scores that we have been dreading, and it's coming to life. So we're going to go through some of the stuff he's been researching. Of course, we have the flotilla being attacked by Israel. We're going to be up to the moment on that one as well. We also have the Pfizer story. I mean, this is a big one, guys. The Pfizer $70 billion deal. This is pretty much the nail in the coffin for MAHA. I mean, there's no way around it at this point. So we'll be talking about that one with Jay as well, because he's been really close to the issue, as you guys know, working for the RFK campaign back when he was running as an independent. And here we are. We're at that breaking point, the nail in the coffin for MAHA. It's really sad. It's a sad moment, but let's see what we can get from it. And aside from that, we have this week in HOLLYWOKE, AI problem going on right here in LA. And so we're going to get to that one. And we have a loudest voice of the week as well. So without further ado, let's get the show started. And we're going to do some, as you guys know, we like to start the Thursday show off with a little top censored news of the week. Let's do it. Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's Top Censored News of the Week. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a very dishonest or sloppy way, and it's always on purpose. So let's get to the first story. Coming in at number 3, Israel buys TikTok influencers while continuing to push fabricated anti-Semitism censorship laws. Well, let's start with the Israel winning TikTok. We broke this story on Tuesday, but this is make no mistake. Even though the paperwork is still in process, they've already lined up on the battlefield of social media, the battlefield of TikTok, which Bibi Netanyahu himself says is where the battle is being fought right now. And the number one asset is TikTok. So you have Larry Ellison, second richest man on the planet, complete Zionist. He has said out loud that Israel is who he identifies as his home. And he's part of this billionaire class that's taking over TikTok right now. And we've seen what's happened on TikTok as far as the algorithm goes, the red flagging. They have red flagged Palestinian, pro-Palestinian messages on there. They have redirected people to propaganda, Israel propaganda on their platform. So if you guys still have a TikTok account and you rely on it, I suggest you look for something else right now, because you're not going to get anything accurate on there at all. So let's revisit what happened when Bibi was in New York. And I hate calling him that. He's more like Satan Yahoo. We got to remember that. We got to remember his real nickname is Satan Yahoo. He was in New York a few days ago meeting with the influencers, the hand-picked influencers, where he was educating them on the attack plan, on what they're going to be doing on TikTok as this deal with Larry Ellison is going through. Here is him giving a class, and he actually calls it a class. This is a class, and it's being filmed. Check it out.
Christian influencers. Okay, you said you talked about the woke right, and you said I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is followers. TikTok.
There it is.
Number one. And I hope it goes through, because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. Exactly. Very good. And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends, or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
So he's telling us the plan out loud. There's no secrets here. This isn't a secret meeting. This is being filmed. This is being thrown out there. They're telling us the plan. If you want to win the narrative, you buy it and you force it on the world. That's the plan. If people could see, if they were right on the right side of history, they wouldn't need to do this. And that's pretty effing obvious at this point. Let's look at what actually came out of there, because we did report that on Tuesday, but now we're seeing some of the more of the details coming out of this story. And even in Israel, like I said, they are just blasting this out themselves. They have no problem telling us what we're looking at here, which is, it's called the Esther Project. And this is a picture taken right after that meeting took place in New York just less than a week ago. And this is the DOJ filings reveal these are a paid U.S. influencer campaign. This is, so they have, the officials call social media the current war's eighth front. The new documents reveal how Jerusalem is paying to shape U.S. opinion. Yes, amid a separate AI-powered PR blitz. So these are all the people involved with this. They turn to the camera. They're really happy to be part of this team. And when we dig a little further, this has been made absolutely clear and is checked by several sources. Israel is paying them $7,000 per post. So this is, so one of them we showed, and I got it. You know what? I have to show this one again. You guys missed this. It's actually a really bad one, but make no mistake, just because these guys are doing really awful ones doesn't mean this is not going to work. But I think this one kind of picked up some steam of how awful this one, and we assume they probably each got paid $7,000 to do this fake walk and talk, whatever TikTok video here while they're drinking their Slurpees and have their little headphones on. It's pretty laughable, but disgusting, more disgusting than laughable. But here it is.
Supporting people who start wars just to lose the wars so they can cry about it and then try it all again.
You must see anti-Semites are literally obsessed with Jews. Now walk with me. While you must see anti-Semites are stacking eviction notices, Jews are out here stacking up businesses.
Jews control all the industries. Maybe if you spent more time taking notes from successful people, you wouldn't have to spend your nights and weekends spreading hate from your anonymous account with an anime profile picture.
Do you work as hard as Jews? Do you network like Jews? No, because you're too busy cheering on a group of musty terrorists who smell like dirty earring backs. And if we're gonna keep it real, you're really mad because your income is giving side hustle.
Period.
How you gonna hate from outside, Shabbat? You can't even get in.
Yeah, not funny, disgusting more than anything. But the fact that who is this even for? And we asked that on the last show. Who is this for? What audience is this for? And I guess maybe it's just about throwing putty at a wall and see what sticks. But yeah, they've spent a lot already. Let's see how much more they're going to spend. In the meantime, this list was put out so we can see, and these two are on the list. That is the African American dude. He's on here. That is the top right, Javier Durozes, whatever. That's him. And then you have Emily Austin. She's the first one there. Those are the two walking down the streets. And look at all these other ones. So just keep an eye out for these people. None of them are real. They're all hijacked young people that want money. And for whatever reason, whether they believe it or not, they're taking the paycheck. So look out for these, all of these on your various platforms. And you know that anything they post, none of it is going to be legit because it's all being conditioned to them top down and out in the open. We're being told that you can't trust anything they say because the whole thing is about coming up with a narrative that's going to trick people into supporting Israel because they're not doing it on their own. And that's a fact. That's a fact. So this is what's happening. They're calling it the eighth front war on information in America. So let's see what we else have going on here. WikiLeaks responded to this, and yeah, this is officially $7,000 per cost. Israel paying undisclosed U.S. influencers. Well, now we know who they are. So this was put out before that. The Israeli government is paying U.S. content producers up to $7,000 per post as part of a major increase in budget for global influence campaigns. And this is right out of his own mouth. You guys heard him. We have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we engage. And of course, the most important ones are on social media. And this was the meeting on September in 2025, just a week ago. This was the actual company behind it. They're called the Bridges Partners, LLC, on behalf of the Israeli government, under the U.S. Foreign Agents Registration Act. They detailed the initial payments for production and for influencers. So it sounds like, and later in this paragraph, you can see 900,000 has already been allocated. So add that up and you can see how much propaganda is already in the works. They're probably going to add to that when that one runs out. Why stop at 900,000? Why not just do more? Because they can spend whatever they want because we just keep giving them money. So it comes right out of the US taxpayer, right into Israel's hands, and then right back to any of these, I guess we could call them, at best opportunists, but just complete sellout, complete trash, wanting to get these paychecks to just lie to their following. And these people have a lot of followers, and that's the problem. So the campaign is part of a larger influence push by Israeli authorities amid the collapse of public support, which is exactly what this is about. They don't have this public support, so they have to pay for it. So we appreciate this take from WikiLeaks. Also, at the end of this, you can see they're also paying $1.5 million a month to Trump's former digital campaign strategist, Brad Parscale, to produce strategic communications using AI tools to generate thousands of variants on pro-Israel messaging. So on top of the influencers, they're cushioning it with AI tools to multiply these lies over and over again. And I assume you don't have to pay $7,000 for each of those AI posts that will be going out on top of these lame videos, that one you just watched. So with that, this is interesting because on top of the influencers getting paid, on top of the AI techniques being used to multiply their presence, on top of the purchase of TikTok and banning basically of content sharing of anyone that is challenging Israel. On top of that, you had this, the FBI saying at the end of the Tyler Robinson investigation, which Kash Patel, you guys remember, said case closed. Now it'll go to trial. He said, we're going to be focusing on working with the ADL. So if you look at the bottom, FBI.gov, the FBI and the ADL working together to fight hate. They've been doing this, and you can see the date on that was 2017. So the FBI and the ADL have had a relationship for years and years. And Kash Patel doubled down. It was about a week and a half ago when he said, we're done with the Tyler Robinson case. We're going to go back to our friendly relationship with ADL, and we're going to specifically focus on anybody who puts out information about what they think happened to Charlie Kirk. If you suggest that it's Israel, we're going to do something about it, because that constitutes hate speech, anti-Semitism, if you think that Israel had anything to do with Charlie Kirk. So that's what he was doing. Now, the ADL and law enforcement, as a leading anti-hate organization, so just so you guys understand about the ADL, it calls itself an anti-hate organization, that the ADL works closely with federal, state, and local law enforcement to assist them in protecting communities from extremism. So that's their relationship. They've had it for many years. But look at this. Below the Elon tweet, it says a larger problem with the ADL designating Turning Points USA, which this is interesting, right? You have Turning Point USA being designated as a hate group, that the FBI is allowing the ADL to approving this training to agents. So the ADL is deeply embedded within law enforcement, which we've known. And now we know it's as clear as day, not just to us, but as you can see, Elon Musk himself replied to this and said the ADL is a hate group. Now, that doesn't really help Netanyahu, does it? Because he says Elon's a friend and we need to nudge him about Twitter. Well, if Elon is on to this about ADL, well, that might be a good thing. That might be a really good thing. Shadow of Ezra says Elon Musk has now publicly declared that the ADL harbors hatred towards Christians and has labeled the organization as a hate group. That's good news that Elon is doing that. ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt, you guys know him, like another Austin Powers villain, right? In his own words, compared Christianity to a virus and claimed it was the root of anti-Semitism. He pointed to the historic accusation that Jews killed Christ as fueling centuries of hatred. And he concludes that Zionism automatically makes you someone who is, by definition, an anti-Semite. That's right out of his mouth. You want to hear him say it himself? He's going to tell you this.
Christian influencers.
Long clip. Here's Jonathan Greenblatt telling you this.
Anti-Semitism is a bit of like a virus. And like some viruses, it exists in the kind of body politic and it's dormant, like chickenpox. You get chickenpox as a young person, and then after the kind of inflammation subsides, it's still in you. And it can manifest again when you're older because of stress or age as shingles. Although you can get inoculated and you can prevent that from happening. So I think anti-Semitism is similar. It's like this contagion. It's as old as time, right? We face it for thousands of years. First it was, after the death of Christ, there were these accusations that the Jews killed Christ and that the Jews weren't a real religion because we didn't accept Christ and then we didn't accept Muhammad. So you have this, the Jewish religion isn't legitimate, and that was the basis for the Crusades, which is at Tish B'Av, which, remembers the expulsion. We had inquisitions. We had all these horrible things. And then, after the Age of Reason, it was, maybe, and they realized that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth and the earth isn't flat. Then it was, maybe Judaism is okay as a religion, but it's the Jewish race that isn't legitimate. And then we saw kind of anti-Semitism metastasize into this kind of race-based form of hate, which of course exploded with the Shoah. And then after the tragedy of that, the injustice of that was exposed, people then said, it's not that their religion is illegitimate or their race is illegitimate. Now it's the Jewish state that's illegitimate. And we see that now in the form of anti-Zionism, which is anti-Semitism.
There it is. Said it himself. And he's been talking like this for a while. So this isn't like some new thing that he's putting out there. I just think maybe Elon is seeing this for the first time, or maybe this is now the time the wind is blowing in the direction where it is okay to point this out. But this changes everything now about the FBI. Look at this. This is the good news. From AF Post, Kash Patel has announced that the FBI will no longer partner with the ADL after the ADL received significant backlash for its now shuttered glossary of extremism and hate. The FBI and ADL have had a long-standing partnership focused on combating hate crimes, extremism, and terrorism. So there's that deer in headlight, cross-eyed dude looking exactly like how he's been looking the entire time he's had this job as FBI director. And he's that relationship is no longer happening here. So what are you going to do with your spare time now that all your cases are closed? Cash, I mean, you closed the Epstein case, that's done. You closed the Charlie Kirk case, that one's done. So I guess you're going to be sitting around twiddling your thumbs now that you don't have the ADL to schmooze around with and figure out ways to stop people from criticizing Israel. That's the number 3 story. Okay, coming in at number 2, the U.S. is set to bomb Venezuela as President Maduro calls out the Western media propaganda machine. Okay, what happened here? Well, this is the U.S. is preparing, and this is according to NBC News, the U.S. is preparing options for military strikes on drug targets inside Venezuela. So it's all about the attacking of drug targets, right? That's the whole setup. That's how you get half the base on board, because the drug cartels that Maduro runs, because he's illegitimate, that's why we're moving in and surrounding Venezuela and looking to literally bomb them right now. That's what it looks like. U.S. military officials are drawing up options to target drug traffickers, and strikes within the country's borders could potentially begin in a matter of weeks. Those sources are 2 U.S. officials familiar with the planning and 2 others sources familiar with the discussions. They spoke on the condition because they were not authorized to discuss the plans publicly. But the striking in Venezuela would be another escalation in the Trump administration's military campaign against alleged, and good for you, NBC, for putting alleged drug targets and its stance towards Venezuela's government. So you guys know what's really going on here, right? Yeah, I think so. I think we know what's really going on here. Well, let's listen to Maduro and his take on this. Okay, so what I got to do is take the volume down, and I will read these subtitles here. Here we go. All right, let's talk here between friends. Why do you think there is an imperial threat against Venezuela? Do you really believe the empire wants good things for Venezuela? Do you think that? What is behind the false accusations against Venezuela? Already disproven by the UN, the European Union, the World Customs Organization, even the DEA's own official data. What is behind this whole campaign of slander? Because they can't say that. Maduro and Venezuela have weapons of mass destruction. They can't say that, right? So they have to come up with something else. That's why, because the weapons of mass destruction theater piece is our go-to everywhere else, right? You guys know the drill. They got WMDs. They got WMDs. Well, you can't do that with Venezuela at all. So you got to find another approach. And so that's why it's the drugs. They can't say that. No, they can't. So they invent a Hollywood-style story. Wow. And they're the heroes, right? Because they've created the narrative that not even the people of the U.S. believe. In the U.S., there's nobody who's believing it. And if you guys look at the numbers, there are some that do believe it. But what is true is that it's a small minority that is buying this right now, which is good. The lies they're saying about Venezuela, it doesn't exist. The battle for truth, we are winning it. We have to win it every day. The truth of Venezuela in the U.S. and around the world. Well said, President Maduro. Well said. And DD Geopolitics, who shared that out, quotes Maduro, who we just saw. Nobody in the United States believes these lies. Nobody. He says the imperial campaign of slander has failed. Venezuela is winning the battle of truth at home and abroad, which it's hard to argue that. So this, again, we're back to this idea of socialism fails, capitalism is great. This is what's been told to us forever and ever. But make no mistake, there's no collapse of socialism in Venezuela. Obviously, their economy has been bad. Obviously, there's been millions of refugees that have left. But why is that? Because socialism failed? Or did we fail it? Did the U.S. do it? Or did we actually do it? Well, don't take it from me. Take it from Donald Trump's special representative, Elliot Abrams, during Trump's first term. He's going to tell us what we did and what we're doing to Venezuela. Here it is.
85% de los miles de
okay, I think we got the wrong clip on that one. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll put that in the post. I'll put that in post, and if you guys look up Elliot Abrams, you can see him saying it for himself, and then we will bookend it with this. Now Maduro is going to tell you how he looks at his people, and what we have to understand is, why do we think that it's hard for us to make this attack right now on Venezuela? Because the people are aligned. There's the way that country functions together, they have the people, they have hundreds of thousands that will sign up to fight the U.S. imperial machine. They're in their home court, so they know they have the advantage with all the hillsides. And we talked with Garland Nixon about this. He knows it directly. He's been there. I've been there. We know the way that country is designed, and it's going to be very difficult for us to get through there and actually start the war we want to win. Not to mention getting the public sentiment, which we don't have. So here's Maduro telling us how proud he is of his people and why this fight is, why he believes he's not going to lose this fight. We've seen so many others lose this fight. We've seen so many others taken out by the U.S. imperialism war machine, one after the next. So what is Maduro doing differently? Well, let's listen.
85%
85% of the billions of international drug traffickers each year is in banks in the United States. That's where the cartel is. Let them investigate and uncover it. Money laundering. Look, I was reviewing the data the vice president shared, and I believe it's over 500 billion annually. That's in the U.S. banking system, in legal banks. If they want to investigate a cartel, let them investigate the cartel, because it's the United States and all the drug trafficking in the world from South America and the rest of the world. They also control the opium trade and so on. It's in the United States, and it's where the mafias are, where the real cartels are. Exactly. So we create the problem in order to then justify our reaction to the problem, which is always military based. Always. It's always that. So let's try one more. I think I have one more speech from Maduro. Okay, no, that's it. Okay, so that's an ongoing thing. We're going to keep an eye on that one as well. So yeah, guys, this Venezuela thing is not going away, but just so you understand the context of it. And yes, they are losing the public sentiment on this, and that's why they're struggling to figure out how they're going to make this attack happen, and why there's not really any pushback. They're not finding any cracks in the dam so far. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do next. Okay, coming in at number 1, top censored news of the week. Netanyahu admits the peace plan for Gaza is a scam, whether Hamas signs it or not. Yep, we saw this thing unfold. We covered this on Tuesday, but I want you guys to understand that again, this is a situation where Netanyahu is saying the quiet part out loud. After he got out of the UN, there was a walkout of 75 countries during that UN meeting. He takes his fourth trip to DC, shakes Trump's hand, and as they come up with this 20-point peace plan, which is complete scam, a peace plan for Gaza, which doesn't involve any concessions from Israel, except other than they have to release 1,700 of the hostages they've had since October 7th. Now, they have had thousands of hostages. They call them prisoners, but we know they're hostages. They've been there. They have been taken from Gaza, from Palestine, and been held in a torture chamber, whatever they do to these people, beat and rape and torture them. There's 1,700 that they will let out if all these other things happen. And all the other things that happen are not anything that Israel has to do. So Hamas has to surrender. Israel gets to stay in Gaza. They get to continue their harassing campaign and their bombing campaign, their indiscriminate murder campaign, because they've been doing that anyways. This is not exclusively after October 7th. They've been able to do this over and over again for years and years and years. So they get to continue doing that. And then this is the clincher. They get to have an outside force put together that's not just Israel, but other entities, other foreign entities come in and start to govern the place and be in charge of it. And this means that Palestine will never, ever be a state. And that's the point. That's what they agreed on. But the real kicker is Trump telling Netanyahu, if Hamas doesn't agree to this horrible deal, because it's a horrible deal for them, if they don't agree, then what? Then Trump gives the green light, the U.S. gives the green light to Israel to finish the job. So it couldn't have gone any better for Netanyahu. And then he goes on and he brags. He brags about the fact that he got everything he wanted in this deal. And even if Hamas accepts it, even if Hamas accepts the deal, he's not going to abide by the Israel part of the deal anyway. So he either way, but I think he's expecting, and most people are expecting Hamas not to accept this deal because it's not really a deal. So while we're waiting for that, well, first, look, let me do this because we do have, yes, in Hebrew, this always happens in Hebrew. You have them saying this out loud to the people in Israel, letting them know everything I just told you. They're putting it in print. They don't care to hide this. They don't care to hide this. Okay, so this is what's going out in Israel print. And according to Brian Tashem, so the Israeli newspaper, it's owned by the Adelson family, and it's telling their readers, don't worry, Netanyahu won't abide by the deal anyway. And that's it. Atomy Media says immediately after lying to Trump and the Western world face in English that he would support a peace deal, Netanyahu told his people in Israel there would be no peace and no withdrawal. It's humiliating for Trump in America. Well, no, not necessarily. And I said this on Tuesday, not necessarily humiliating, because you got the Western war machine, the Western media propaganda machine backing this up and pretending that this thing is totally legit when it's not. And that they should be calling this out like we are, but they're not. They're allowing it to continue. So let's just pretend that everything checks out in the deal. Let's just pretend that we're honestly waiting. We're just waiting for Hamas to decide if they want to take the deal or not. Let's just be a little patient here. Give them a moment, as we would with anybody. You give them hey, look it over. Let us know what you think. Let's give them all the benefit of the doubt. Guess what? Israel can't even wait for a response. They're immediately doing what they do every single day. And we got this information this morning, and I decided not to show the video because it's so bad. But this is what is in the video. If you guys haven't heard, and this is what makes this so infuriating. Israel goes and bombs a water truck while Palestinian families were trying to fill up water. The video of the massacre shows a woman grieving over the shredded body of her husband. 6 feet away, there are men and children scattered over the ground, some alive but mostly dead. There are literal body parts stuck to the water truck with random limbs being pieced together to form full humans. I know most Americans don't care about Palestine, but maybe you should care about America, because the reason you can't afford health care, insurance, and food is because your tax dollars are being siphoned by Israel to fund a genocide. And I will tell you this, I did debate whether or not to show this video, knowing that we would get kind of a warning on the platforms. Even Rumble wouldn't let us do this without putting some warning on the video. But even if they didn't do the warning, it's so bad. I want to, you guys can look up CEO Lawyer and you can watch it for yourself. I took 2 screen grabs and we're just going to leave it at that. But this, again, we know this is happening every day, but this is more salt on a wound, knowing that this all took place after the handshake, after the applause of Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump, agreeing on this deal that's not even a deal. This is the water truck. There are literally body parts all over the place. And the people on the ground, and that's the cleanest picture I could find on the right. But they're literally putting body parts together, trying to make form of human beings, whatever is left, scattered everywhere. And these were families getting water. So this is the thing that we're all debating about, right? This is the thing that we all have to, it's complicated, right? You guys heard that one, right? It's complicated. Oh, it's hard to explain. The Middle East, the background, it's really, really complicated sometimes, but we're doing our best. And anybody still telling you that anyone's honestly working on a two-state solution that's representing the West, that's a lie. And you need to tell people that is a lie. There is no two-state solution happening. Bibi Netanyahu has said over and over, it's not what we're going to have. There's no way. It's not in this deal. Trump says we're not doing it. That's it. There's only one state. and it's the Greater Israel Project. And the sooner we can understand that as absolute fact, there's no gray area there. It is not complicated. It's to quote Caitlin Johnstone, the Gaza situation is the easiest thing to understand out of all of our horrible foreign wars and foreign conflicts that we've had throughout our lifetimes. It's the easiest one to understand. So don't let people tell you otherwise. Okay, that is top censored news of the week. All right. Without further ado, we got more show for you guys. We got a lot more show for you guys. Let's go ahead. And we're going to be bringing in our co-host here. Let me make sure we got a good setting here. Okay. I think we're all good to go. Yeah, the engagement, guys, I appreciate you guys being in the show. I know sometimes we get a little late start, but let's hope that the algorithm picks up. Please keep putting the like up and the comments, and we'll get to your comments later in the show when we do the Talking Back segment. But we have a lot to get to now, so let's go ahead and bring in, please welcome back to the show, co-host Jay Scott. Hey,
What's
Jay.
going on, Matt? Welcome back, man. Hope your vacation was good, and glad to be back in the mix. So, what's going on? How you feeling, man?
Really, really good, man. I mean, it's insane because you step back for a moment and then you see the world doesn't stop because we took a breath. In fact, it speeds up apparently because you have the Charlie Kirk assassination and then you have all this other stuff going down, and I'm like, what do we do now? And so, went around and had some conversations on other people's shows, but had to come back here, man. Had to come back to the home base. So I appreciate you being back. And also, I appreciate you helping covering that when that one broke. The last time we had a show together was within 24 hours of that assassination. And I think we did some really good work that we can certainly stand behind. So I wanted to thank you for that.
In fact, all evidence that's come out since then has just kind of added to what we proposed on that show. And there's just been more and more question marks raised about that whole situation. And I know we have, a lot of topics lined up, but really quick, the thing that blows the whole situation out the water for me is, that camera angle we have of the assassin supposedly jumping off the roof. That frame has actually been cut, and if they were to show the entire thing from that camera, it should actually show the position on the roof that he supposedly took the shot from. So Ian Carroll did a great breakdown of that on his show. So I don't think we're ever going to see Tyler Robinson make it to trial, unfortunately, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I know that's not on the agenda for today. Hopefully we can do a follow-up on that soon because the details on that case are crazy.
No, it is crazy. And I again, I'm going to double down on the responsibility we have to look into these things. And there's no way we can know for sure and have facts, for you guys, but we can ask the right questions. And I think that's what it's about. And like you said, Jay, lo and behold, the stuff coming up is kind of leaning to the place that we were scratching our head about. And we saw red flags. So the more we go down that path, the more we see that. And we see what happens to people who are being loud about this, people like Candace Owens, people like Max Blumenthal, and we see the attacks. So let's be on the right side of this, and let's elevate each other. And until I see somebody report an actual lie, which I have not seen, not on the side of challenging Israel. I'll tell you that. We see sometimes people have to adjust information because we don't have it all, but I see honest work, and I give anybody right, left, wherever you stand ideologically, if you're asking the right questions, we got your back here at the Homeless Left.
For sure. Agreed.
Yep. Okay, well, let's get to the story that I know is probably very personal to you, Jay. It's personal to us. It's been something that we have discussed. It's the MAHA movement and RFK Jr. being the leader of that. And, the ups and downs, we've had so many ups and downs in this movement. And some people on one side staying optimistic. Some people have completely checked out and said it's all BS. After this last couple days, it's going to be very hard to say that we are any more hopeful that anything's being done to bring justice to people that were harmed by big pharma over the last 5 years, and it's looking less and less, and that's because of this. Just going to put the summary up, and a lot of you guys watching, you guys know what's gone down with this deal, But just the long and the short of it, Trump has announced this Pfizer deal, lowering. He's saying we're lowering drug prices, and he's got his website, Trump RX website, and everyone's happy and celebrating this opportunity for lower drug prices. But guess what? It involves Pfizer, Alfred Borda specifically, making this, as it says in this deal, the deal halfway down this, it says the deal includes Pfizer's $70 billion investment in U.S. manufacturing and the launch of the government-operated Trump RX website in early 2026. And then it goes on to having the discounts. And at the bottom, and this is nice little touch at the end, saying that they're, despite the criticisms from vaccine skeptics over all the praise. And if you guys want to see the praise up close, well, here's the room in which it happened, and there was a lot of smiles and a lot of high fives. Not everybody was smiling, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. But here we go. Here's the announcement.
Where are the other companies other than Pfizer? Are you expecting them to come
They're all
later?
They're all with us, and I was honored to have Albert be the first. He's done a fantastic job with, as you know, with the COVID. He did a fantastic job with a lot of things. He's a leader, and Pfizer is right at the top. You know, it's there. Eli Lilly has been fantastic also, your friend, my friend. And they're all coming in over the next week. We're making deals with all of them. And
Yeah, so there he is saying, Albert Borda, that this is enemy number one of COVID. Enemy number one who put out this experimental jab, intentionally hurting people, and has not had to account for it. Here he gets up to the podium himself. Here's Albert Borda himself, and there as he's called by Trump a friend. And there you got RFK Jr. We're going to get to him in a second, but here's Albert Borda out of his own mouth.
We are ready to invest, as the president also mentioned, $70 billion in the next few years from Pfizer in manufacturing and research in America alone. I really think this is an historical moment because also I can put that behind us and focus on the things that I want to spend my time, cancer treatments, to bring better obesity medicines, to bring better vaccines, to bring things that people value. And thank you for allowing us to do that. I want to thank Secretary Kennedy. I want to thank Secretary Latnik. Your leadership helped us to pull that together. You are the mastermind of everything, and without the brilliant way that you designed the whole thing, we wouldn't be able to make it happen. But you were even more brilliant because you had someone in your team that he was the driving force behind everything. And I don't have words to thank you for your integrity. And it is what you have said. We created trust from day one. And that was the most important thing that allowed us to be able to pull very difficult negotiations. Of course, also I want to thank the US trade representative, who is also heavily engaged, and he's probably the first trade representative that I have seen that cares about our industry and cares to do something about unfair situations out there, but more than anyone else. Mr. President, I want to thank you, for your leadership and frankly for your friendship. Thank you.
Albert, thank you very much. Great job. Great job.
All right, before I get your reaction, Jay, here's a few reactions from some other MAHAs that we know. Patriotic Blonde. Today was Trump's worst day yet. First Epstein, then Bill Gates, the Israel first. Now he's openly praising Pfizer, despite the millions he knows have been harmed by the jab. It's like he's literally laughing in the faces of those who fought for him and supported him, who lost family, lost friends, lost clients and careers, but backed him despite everything it cost us because we truly believed he wanted to make America great again. What a sad, sad day. What a sellout. And here's Dr. Simon Godek. Before the election, we'll release the Epstein files. After the election, they protect the pedophiles. Before the election, we'll end the wars. After the election, they fund genocide. Before the election, we'll go after COVID crimes. And after the election, they hand $70 billion to Pfizer. I can't stomach it anymore. This administration is a disgrace. Jay Scott, how are you feeling about all? Where are you right now after all this?
So first, I just want to add a little context here for any viewers who've never, heard me speak before. There are very few people that were as passionate about the RFK campaign when he was running for president as I was. Yet as soon as he dropped the independent campaign and endorsed Trump, I said from the start, this is a waste of time. There's no way I'm getting on board with this. And I literally shot an entire music video to support Kennedy, like the week he dropped out. So when I tell you this stung, man, oh man, did it sting. And I knew from the start it was going to be a complete waste of time, because the entire strategy of the Republican Party is deregulate, and then the benefits will trickle down to the rest of us and everyone will be rich. That's what, you know, the Republican solution is to solving every problem in the economy. And you can't deregulate your way out of the pharmaceutical issues that we have in this country. And as far as this latest announcement goes, I mean, it's not surprising to me, because following the money told me that this was going to happen long before the election, knowing how much problems the centralization of power in the Democratic and Republican parties contribute to this problem. This was easily predictable if you actually understand how the system works. So in terms of the announcement itself, you know, I think MAHA is to the Republican Party what Medicare for All is to the Democrat Party. When they're out of power, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to clean up the food supply. We're going to get the country healthy. Everyone's going to be fit. We're going to get rid of GMOs. We're going to stop Pfizer. And then when they get in power, well, you know, maybe we can work with them, and, you know, maybe they're not so bad. And if we just change a few little things here and there, or at least put out an announcement that we roll back in the next few days, but you don't hear about the rollback, then, you know, people will be happy. So it's literally the exact same playbook we see from Democrats for Medicare for All that we're seeing now from Republicans with MAHA. Like, they've attached themselves to something that's popular. They're selling dreams. And if you just follow the money, all of this is easily predictable. So looking at Kennedy's face there, you know, he didn't seem, I don't know, he didn't seem to smile that much, you know, like, and it's just so crazy to me that we're in a situation right now where Albert Bourla is on stage thanking R.F. Kennedy for his support, you know, in getting these government contracts after RFK essentially spent a year accusing this guy of crimes against humanity. And all of a sudden, he has nothing else to say about these crimes against humanity that he built his entire campaign on. So, you know, I think at this point, we have to assume that we're never actually going to get any real change from the Democrat and Republican parties. So do with that information what you will, whether, you know, you think you should check out the system, you know, entirely, whether you think, you know, you need to revolt or join a third party. Me personally, I think third party and a peaceful way is the way to go. And I think the decentralization offered by We the People, WTPnational.com, is the best place to start. But again, you know, this is just a symptom of the problem we have of centralization in power. So it's not surprising. It's extremely disappointing, though, to see it in action, just because of everything Robert Kennedy, you know, has done with his life, said during his campaign, and what he represented. So it's hard to believe it's the same person, you know, that we saw during the campaign, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, here's that shot. A close up. If you guys missed that, there's his face as Trump's talking.
It's easier to be corrupt if you're ignorant, but if you know better, you're probably going to feel at least a little guilty. So I would guess, you know, RFK probably feels at least a little bit guilty, because he's a highly intelligent person. He knows what's really going on, yet he's either being blackmailed, threatened, or bribed. Take your pick. You know, I don't think it matters in terms of us as voters. You know, we just have to assume that nothing he said before he was elected actually applies in the actions that he's going to be taking. He may still say some pretty words and do some great press conferences, but so far it feels like all of the money is still going towards the same projects, even if they're changing the label a little bit. Now they're trying to say, oh no, it's not mRNA technology, it's just self-replicating RNA technology. So it's the same thing. So I don't know. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I just want clean food, man. I want clean food, no plastics in the environment. Is that too much to ask for? That's what Kennedy said he was going to do, and we're not seeing anything like that. We're going in the opposite direction, and it's scary because listen, man, just a side note, when I go into the supermarket, it is depressing. Like, it is truly depressing. Our food should have so much more nutrients in it, like, than it has. We shouldn't have to deal with all these pesticides. RFK raised all of these issues during the campaign, and now he's in office. What do we see? More money to the same bad actors, no progress on controlling the poison in the environment, and it's just same situation. Progress as usual. The establishment's still getting its way, and I can't be more disappointed, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And yeah, I didn't buy into it. I guess I feel a little bit bad for people who thought that Trump meant some of the things he was saying and couldn't see through it. I just encourage everyone to learn the lesson. If you're not following the money, you have not learned the lesson. And the money in the Democratic and Republican parties go to the exact same place. Learn the lesson, guys. There is no lesser of two evils. It's the same damn evil. Yeah.
Well, let's look a little closer at RFK Jr. because he's got that scowl on his face. We have talked about, and you're right to bring up the blackmail stuff, and what is he allowed to do, not allowed to do? Is he forced to be standing here right now and pretend?
I would guess he's being threatened. I would hope that it's being threatened and not blackmail, and he's not that bad that they haven't blackmailed over something. But you don't know. There's no way for us to know.
I think this situation is much worse. I think it's a good analogy to bring up our Medicare for All fight. But this is a much worse situation. Number one, because MAHAs are louder and more angry than a lot of us were allowed to be when we called the squad when we called the squad, the fraud squad, we were called right-wing extremists. So when MAHA calls RFK Jr. a fraud, they're not called anything by the left. The left doesn't even, they have their heads so far in the sand, they don't even know this is happening on the right, in the MAHA. They don't even know. So we had to, when we were trying to stand up to Bernie and AOC, like you said, we figured out the game plan. It was yell and scream about it when you don't have power, and then blame it on the Republicans. By the way, Trump and RFK, they're not blaming anything on the Democrats. They're just doing it. They're not even coming up with an excuse. And that's why this is much worse, Jay, because the hold that Israel has over these people, it's so bad that they don't even let them come up with a good way to present it and sell it. They don't. And this is how I know, because all you got to do is go back to this and you can see it right for yourself. Here it is. This is RFK, January 23, talking to us about Pfizer. Pfizer is a craven, venal, homicidal, morally bankrupt criminal enterprise that has captured and corrupted its regulators. Is he just mouthing off, or is that based on data? That's based on data. That's based on assessing the situation, seeing Albert Bourla himself parading around on mainstream media, telling us that his product was 100% effective. 100%. He told us that. And that was a lie. And Pfizer never tested for whether it could be transmitted or any of that. It didn't. They admitted they never tested it. And he went around and paraded around knowing that. Then his own company tried to hide the data of the side effects for 75 years. All of this is known. Everybody knows this. So to see RFK Jr. having to stand there like that, this tweet went out. Now this part's important because there's a smile on this part of it, and I know this isn't an actual shot from that press conference, but it wasn't just him scowling behind Trump. He also had to come up and talk. And when he came up to talk, he had to congratulate everyone too and say Trump is amazing and everything's great and we love this deal and it's really, really cool. And according to Nightwatch, and if you ever needed any more proof that RFK Jr. was a total sellout, this is what he said up on that podium, that same podium. That's Bourla, really created a template for corporate responsibility, for putting public health ahead of his individual interests. He said this.
You know,
This
and
is insane.
yeah, and the craziest part about it is it's not even like there's an acknowledgement that, hey, before I was in office, I had this opinion of Albert Bourla and Pfizer. However, I would like to go back and address why I was wrong back then. And then here's the new information that has caused me to change my opinion on Pfizer and Albert Bourla. There's none of that. It's just you pretend that nothing you said before still is relevant, and you just pretend that this is a good guy who means well despite everything you know about him. I mean, you know, in my opinion, it's sad. You know, it's sad, and it couldn't be more disappointing. The one place I disagree with you though is I think I wouldn't blame this all on Israel. They're a part of it, but they're not the top boss. But anyway, we'll get to that another time.
It's hard to know how many people are to blame here, but the fact of the matter is there's no way to maneuver through this. This is obviously sellout behavior. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. And then here's an off the cuff moment. This one was making the rounds this morning or yesterday, and we picked it up. This is a off the cuff moment because what happened? RFK Jr. sneezed. So I don't know if you guys saw the sneeze, but we can start referring to this incident as the sneeze, because it's not the sneeze itself, it's what was said after and what was not said. Of course, we could have, if we were there, or if an honest player was there, they could have responded in a much more honest way. But look what happens when the sneeze happens. This is the most. If you have you seen this, Jay? Have you seen this? The sneeze?
I don't think so.
Okay, brace yourself. You're not gonna. And again, this is off the cuff because that was obviously the sneeze is not in the script. So let's see how these people behave in a moment of an interruption. Like we've all had a sneeze happen, and we've had to say, you know, kazoo tight or God bless you, whatever. Brace yourself, Jay. Here we go.
But insulin was, people weren't taking it, I would imagine. They couldn't take it. God bless you, Bobby. I hope I didn't catch COVID just there.
Mr. President.
Have you have Paxlovid? Paxlovid. He's got Paxlovid.
Mr. President.
Give me a Paxlovid immediately.
Mr. President, you can...
While Nancy Pelosi is...
This is it. This is literally case closed on MAHA. That's it. Nail in the coffin. Final nail in the coffin. There's no way around it. That was not a mock of the thing that we know. We know Paxlovid has killed people. We know that you can't get that the whole COVID thing about getting COVID because you're not up to date on your shots. Everything about that moment shows us that the movement is over. Jay, is there anything left that we can squeeze out of this thing? It seems like dead in the water.
I think the benefit and the positivity from MAHA is the mindset of the people that were involved in it. I still think it's an important issue that we have to talk about, but as far as us actually believing that we have an administration that's friendly towards our goals in MAHA, I think that's dead in the water. I think anyone who's still holding on to that, is going to be greatly disappointed, and they're going to find themselves making excuse after excuse, about why nothing has happened, despite Trump having the power that he has right now. And, one thing that really jumped out at me just to drive this point home, I meant to mention this before. Albert Bourla mentioned obesity as one of the diseases that he is developing drugs to try to fight. That seems to me like the most classic case of an ailment that does not need a drug to correct. Because if you want to fight obesity, the key to doing that is to consuming less calories than you expend each day. This isn't like a difficult thing to understand. Now, it's challenging to implement, but you don't need medication to fix obesity. And I understand different people have different metabolisms. I agree with all that. I'm not saying that it's easy for everybody to solve, but if you think that there's a drug for literally every problem in the world and that your lifestyle is not the first place you should look, then like, you're a sucker. Like I don't know how else to say it. You are a sucker. Like, yes, medicine has improved outcomes and it's very good at treating short-term acute stuff that we have going on. But these chronic diseases, it's just cash cows for these pharmaceutical companies. And most of the time, there are lifestyle changes that we can make to either improve the symptoms or get rid of it entirely. So, like, I mean, I can't stress this enough, guys. Like, the pharmaceutical companies want people to stay sick. If you get healed, you're no longer going to be a customer. And that's why we have the same people who own the food companies also owning the pharmaceutical companies. At some point, we have to wake up. Like more capitalism isn't going to solve this problem. More deregulation isn't going to solve this problem. Going to the WHO and centralizing control with people who don't care about us is also not going to solve this problem. Deregulation will not get us healthy. So that's the only thing we're going to get from Republicans. Deregulation, less taxes. Oh yeah, but the guy who hates socialism, he has no problem with the US federal government taking a stake in private companies. When was the last time we did that before Trump? You know, Trump just bought 10% of Intel, right? This is the guy who is against big government, who is now buying shares in privately owned companies, like extremely influential ones. How is anyone still pretending that this man has any like ideals that he lives by? He's not a capitalist. He's not a communist. He's pro-establishment. He's part of the deep state. Wake up, guys, wake up.
This is the new mug shot, or I guess you could say this is like the gangster shot, right? This is like the pharma mafia. And you can send this around to your liberal friends and tell them they'll all your vote blue no matter whose. Don't worry, guys. You got your friend Albert Borda standing with, like, look at that. I know our RFK Jr. looks like he's having a really shitty time there, but still, these guys got your back, man. They got all the drugs you want. They're not taking them away. You get as many RMNA shots that you want, whatever the hell you want, whatever gene therapy you want. Don't worry. You'll get it. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere. You got it.
I mean, Trump said he was in favor of drone striking drug dealers. Isn't that what he said? Or like hitting drug dealers with missiles? Does that apply to all drug dealers, do you think?
No, that only applies to brown-skinned people in Venezuela.
Okay, yeah. Because they're the biggest drug capital of the world. It's not Mexico, it's not Colombia, it's Venezuela. That's where all the drugs are coming from. I was just double checking there.
Yeah, well, they have a drug dealer for a president that's not even official. So he's a unofficial president drug dealer.
Well, Juan Guaidó is the real president, right? He's just an imposter. Yeah. Let's give Guaidó his credit.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We got the flotilla story, guys. We've been covering this one. The flotilla in the last 48 hours. There's a lot that's gone down here with the flotilla. So the attack has officially happened last night, and we were kind of looking at this because there were European workers that had said, if you touch one hair on the head of any of these people, we are shutting down the supply chain. We are cutting off, and workers can do that. So that was in Italy, that was in Spain, and that's why they were able to assemble so many different crews. This was the crew that was assembled. It was 497 participants, and they were from all these different countries. They all were traveling together on 44 different vessels, including a warship from Spain, another one from Italy. I believe Greece had some backing there. Turkey, everybody was helping this out. And yet, knowing that they were moving into the danger zone, we knew that Israel was going to do something. And lo and behold, they did. Here's the tweet that went out. This is the official emergency was called. This is from the Freedom Flotilla Coalition Twitter account. Emergency: Israel has attacked the global Sumud flotilla. Unarmed people of conscience abducted in international waters. This is piracy. This is kidnapping. The flotilla did not break any laws. What is unlawful is genocide, the deadly blockade of Gaza, the use of starvation as a weapon of war, and the piracy of civilian vessels and abduction of all those on board. And then, yeah, this is well, let's look at one of the shots, because they were filming as much as they could from all of the vessels to get us this footage. This one actually came through. This one's actually pretty disturbing. But this is one of the crews being terrorized by the IDF in real. Here we go. The raw.
Open the door! Everybody, hands up! Hands up! Show me your hands! Everybody! Close your eyes and put your passport into the table. Do not touch your phones. Hands up and face down. What are you doing, Mr. What?
Now, we know this is totally a human rights violation. Here, for the reference, you guys, this is the United Nations Human Rights, literally saying any attempt to block the flotilla would constitute a grave violation of international law. So this is a crime that Israel is committing. We knew they were going to do it. They sent every signal that they were going to do it. The crews were ready for this to happen, but yet the Guardian and other horrible Western outlets still use language like this. And this is a shot of one of them being their hands tied and put in a circle. And here it is. Listen to this language, guys. This is how they do it. This is how they brainwash people who aren't paying attention. Is they say Israeli naval forces board pro-Palestinian flotilla 75 miles from Gaza. Greta Thunberg has been arrested, taken into custody after 6 of the flotilla boats were boarded. So they're saying boarded. They're saying they're not saying what it is. These are crimes. This is a terrorist group committing a crime, and there's not one mention of that. Here's Greta herself. We got this footage. This is her being kidnapped right here. They let her put on her 2 letters, and later she's cuffed like everyone else and put in a circle. And so what we know right now, Jay, and we'll get to the reaction from the workers in a moment. But first, I want to I did find this last minute right before we came on the air here, but apparently, and there's been conflicting information about how many of them out of the 140 were captured and how many did not get captured. And we saw at first that only maybe 30 something of them, or it was 497 were the total. So did they get all 197? Was it only 30 something? So we saw conflicting reports on that. But this came out this morning, and this might be the most accurate report we have to date, that there is one boat. It's called the Makino, and it was reported to have escaped the maritime blockade and to have stopped inside Palestinian territory waters near Gaza's coast before contact with the vessel was lost. So according to this article, one came through. This is the first time since Israel imposed a naval blockade on Gaza's waters in 2009 that a mission has reached closer than 70 nautical miles from the territory. So we don't know the current situation with the Makino, but apparently, and the more I'm looking at this, Jay, it seems like most of them were captured, and that's happening now. So let me get your thoughts on seeing all this, and then we'll get to some of the reactions from the European countries that were involved.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are, I feel like rules should apply equally to everybody. We shouldn't have one country that is above all rules, or 2 countries that are above all rules. And it does seem like, to be honest with you, in this current day and age, rules do not apply to America or to Israel. But in this case, like we are seeing like arguably the clearest like violation. I mean, I don't know. Like they're starving people over there. So like we've seen plenty of clear violations, like of human rights from the Israeli government. I guess this is just another check mark, on the list of all the ways they've committed crimes against humanity. And you know, when I watch that video of the soldiers boarding the ship and pointing guns at all those folks, I think to myself, you know, if I was a terrorist soldier in that situation, I would likely have at least some form of situational awareness that the people on this boat, in all likelihood, there's a 99.99999% chance that there's no weapons on them or they don't pose a threat, because if they did, they know that Israel could completely annihilate them, and they know Israel is going to be checking everything they're bringing over. So why would all these people sign up for a suicide mission to go deliver dangerous guns, you know, or dangerous weapons to Palestinians? So I wouldn't approach them with my gun out pointing at them. If I was sent to board that ship, I would have said, hey guys, we're doing a routine check over here. And I would be aware that footage going out, footage is going to go out, like, of this interaction. So do I want to look even worse in front of the world, or would I at least want to have some form of situational awareness? And the impression any normal person gets from watching that video is, what the hell is wrong? Like, with these soldiers, they're literally boarding a ship and pointing guns at volunteers who want to feed starving people. They could have just boarded the ship and said, hey guys, we're doing some checks over here because we want to make sure that there isn't any illegal weapons and that you're following the law. But the point is to intimidate. They know that they're not going to face consequences for their actions, I guess. And so at this point, they don't care about the perception of the outside world of them, because I guess they feel like, you know, they can influence the media, you know, in their direction. That's a gentle way of saying it. So, you know, it's so insane that they think that this is going to work. And in my opinion, I still believe that we are heading towards, I don't know. I just don't understand how the American government can continually justify support of this entity. It does feel like they may eventually do a rug pull on Israel and stop supporting them, but we double down so much, I just can't see it. And, you know, under this Trump administration, he's been so bought off by Netanyahu, like, I don't know, but they're losing the support of the American people. So my question is, how are they going to continue to justify this? Because eventually the pushback is going to get strong unless they find a way to radicalize the American population against the Muslim world. So that's why I'm personally fearful of some sort of bigger false flag that's directly blamed on a country in the Middle East or Islam in general. But without that, I just don't understand how how our government can continue to support Israel, because they are quickly losing the support of the American people, and their actions aren't actions of an entity that wants to keep that popular support. Because they can try to buy up all the social media platforms, they can try to control the narrative, but at this point, there's so much evidence out there. I don't see that they'll be able to turn the tide unless they completely change course, which I don't think they're capable of doing, because so much of the population is bought in to this insane Greater Israel project. That's never going to happen, in my opinion. So, yeah.
So I think one way to understand the psychology, again, of Zionism, and I think that being a soldier in that situation, you understand yourself to be somebody, you don't win because you're right, you win because you figure out a way to win. So walking in there, you're not thinking, so the stuff you said, Jay, walking in there, you're not trying to go for being right. In other words, we're here for a safety check. We want to, that's being correct. They're in the game of winning and doing it by whatever means necessary. So the way they do it is they say something is what it is, and then if you disagree, then they win because they said it. So if they say you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist. If they say we told you not to do this, you did it, therefore you're the one breaking the law. So they're going to come in with their guns. They're going to be yelling. They're going to be blasting, because in there, that's the way you win. You don't win by trying, because if they try to be right, they would lose, because they're not right, because they're wrong. So the way you win is you say something is the way it is, and then you just double down.
There is a caveat. Israel can't win anything without America's support, and
That's
right
true,
now
yeah.
they do have the full support of the American government. However, the American people are in the process of turning against them, and yes, our government ignores us all the time, but they at least have to, give us hope. They at least have to give us a little hope. And I don't know, it's hard for me to imagine it being sustainable for us to continue supporting Israel as most of the population turns against them and the rest of the world is insane. The only way that changes is if there's some insane false flag that turns Americans against Islam in general, or maybe Iran or Palestinians. Because aside from that, like, you got to I know you agree with me, right? Israel would collapse in a matter of weeks if it was clear that America would not come in and support Israel regardless. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yes, except I'd be more if we decided overnight we're not going to support this anymore. They have something called the Samson option, which, they have. There's other techniques they can use before going out. You know what I'm saying? So it's not.
I agree. In my opinion, I think there's enough there's a lot of radicalized people in the population. I would guess that in leadership, they are actually more logical and they do prioritize self-preservation, and they think this threat is going to help them self-preserve. But would they actually destroy the world? The people in leadership? I don't know, maybe, maybe, but I think it makes sense that if you want to intimidate someone, that you do make people think that you're willing to do anything and to blow up the world. So, but we have to take that threat seriously. I just personally don't see how Israel could last that much longer, if we decided to pull all of our support for them. But that's just my opinion.
Well, here's the response from the workers who, as we told you guys, the workers, they said before the flotilla even left, even took off, they said, if you touch one hair on these people, and now there's 497 of them being touched, minus one boat with one vessel that we don't know of that might have made it through. Other than that, the workers said, we are cutting off. We are cutting off supply. And that was Italy and Spain. Well, guess what? Colombia decided to get in the mix too. Look at this. Colombia denounced the trade agreement with Israel after the interception of the flotilla. Good for Colombia. After the Israeli military intercepted the ships of the global Sumud flotilla, which was heading to the Gaza Strip with humanitarian supplies, Colombia immediately denounced the free trade agreement with the Middle Eastern country. This was announced on October 2nd by Colombian President Gustavo Petro. He added that as a result of the incident, 2 Colombian citizens who were on the ship as part of the flotilla were detained in neutral waters. So they have a personal stake in it. And that's why you have to get it's a gathering of people from everywhere. And this is where everyone's affected by this. So you have that. You have Spain. You have the dock workers in Italy. They're all saying we are not going, and they control that. They control the supply chain. So Israel is going to suffer from this economically, at least. So, like, not from the U.S., but from the other countries that have power as well. So we're not the only ones that are responsible for their not collapsing economically. That we're not the only ones. There are other countries that can do it too, and they're stepping up. Here's the response in the street from multiple places after hearing the news of the flotilla being attacked. I'll turn the volume down. You see all the countries in the streets right now, specifically that are protesting this flotilla attack.
Yeah, and for those who can't see, it says Italy, Spain, Germany, Turkey, Belgium, and Greece, from left to right and top to bottom. So there's reactions all over the world to this insanity, thankfully.
Yes, and we even had some more ships going out. I don't know how much good this is going to do, but it really shows that people are willing to do whatever it takes, and it's really cool to see this. I don't know how far they're going to get, but we saw this video too.
And eventually, people in America are going to start reacting too. So what's going to happen, like in Israel, like when that comes to America? Because they're losing the rest of the world. They're losing us. And like, that's why I'm personally fearful of a big false flag. I think we should be on the lookout for it. They hinted that radical Islam may have been involved with Charlie Kirk's assassination, but it wasn't overtly blamed on them, and there wasn't evidence, of it pointing to them. So I do think, if they are planning to double down on Israel and keep going with Israel, that we're gonna see a false flag attack of some kind. I don't see any other way they can keep this this insanity going without that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. We haven't seen the last of what, I like to be a fly on a wall on what they're planning, because the stuff they put out there, it's like, it's so incriminating on its own, but I'd like to see what they're not putting out there. What is that false flag? Because you can be assured that's not going to be, there's not going to be a videotape of them planning that one. So,
but I don't want to be all negative. I can hope that maybe the plan, is to de-escalate, and sell off the Israeli assets to the other Gulf states to find. I don't know. I hope that they can find that they're not going to do that, because if there is a false flag, my guess is it's not only going to be used to justify the war, it's going to be used to justify a dystopian surveillance state over here. It's going to be used to justify the crackdown on free speech, and it'll be used to justify a whole lot of stuff if it does happen. So I'm hoping and praying that that's not the way this goes, but I think there are other possibilities. So I don't want to come off as negative, but I do want people to be aware, if they do plan on pushing the Greater Israel Project, there's no way to do that without a gigantic false flag to stir up support for Israel. There's just no way.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do our last story. This one is important because I know I appreciate you looked into this one, Jay, and we have some information on this, and I know it kind of could have gotten put, brushed aside with everything else going on, but this is important. We're looking at the government shutdown, and I just put this title of "What the hell is going on?" So let's take this little by little. I'm going to put the ABC article you sent up, just that we're in the second day now. So this is what's happening currently. The government shutdown updates. Trump calls for culling dead wood in government amid shutdown. And so this is the federal government on Thursday entered its second day of a shutdown amid an impasse on Capitol Hill over competing congressional spending bills. Trump and Republicans have cast blame for the shutdown on Democrats' healthcare demands, while Dems insist Republicans need to negotiate. We've seen this. How many times have we seen this? It's their fault. No, it's their fault. The Senate is scheduled to return Friday for another vote. The Trump administration has threatened mass layoffs of some federal workers during the shutdown. Interesting. If we put up this, I know this OMB. Let me see. I got this. And then you can, I'm going to pass it to you on this one, Jay. Okay, here we go. This one. So yes. This is.
Sorry, did you see the Project 2025 link I sent you?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I can bring that one up. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that's important. If we could just pause real quick on that point, because part of Project 2025 is, unilaterally cutting out a whole bunch of government departments. And Trump is essentially saying during regular traditional government shutdowns, every other one we've had in the past, the government workers affected by it have been furloughed, meaning that they get their back pay returned to them, and once the shutdown is over, they go right back to work. Trump is saying that a lot of the people who have been paused who are not going to work because of the shutdown simply will not return. That was so it's essentially a shortcut to cutting a lot of the government spending. And I'll be honest with you, there probably is a ton of waste going on in those programs. So it might not be such a terrible idea to try to get rid of some of the waste and introduce some efficient programs. But if you look at what happened in Project 2025, Trump denied all connections to it during the campaign, because there were extremely unpopular parts of it that were circulating around the internet. And then as we are into office now, we can see that he's surrounding himself with the authors of Project 2025. And a lot of the stuff that was listed in it is in process, it's in progress already of happening. So Trump tried to distance himself from it, but he surrounded himself with the authors of it, put them in positions of power, and we're seeing tangible progress towards these goals. And this latest government shutdown and how it's going to be weaponized is just the latest example of that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, these are, some of them haven't started yet, but it looks like if you go through each one, we got a few at the 100%. They did accomplish the U.S. aid, but when the six objectives, what I mean is one of the objectives redistributing the money to the people, because we remember when the U.S. aid went shut down, Jay, we were thinking, oh, wasn't there somebody got out the calculator and said, hey, if we did the math, we're going to be getting $5,000 a piece. Every taxpayer, $5,000 a pop. But it never occurred to them that that money wasn't just going to be reallocated some other shady place. Is that one of the objectives? I guess I'm saying it says 100% done with USA. Does that mean that that money was reallocated into another shady department? And
no. The whole purpose of that was to empower Marco Rubio, because before there would have been some separation between the State Department and USAID, and all they're doing is they're taking the funds and the programs that were going through USAID, they're ripping the mask off and they're distributing it through the State Department instead. So there's zero separation between, the aid that government is giving out, which is supposed to be, to help people and not political, and our actual political establishment. They've just erased any, any euphemism, to hide what's going on. The same thing with the Department of War. In a way, it's good because we knew that our Department of Defense was strictly used for offensive purposes. But, I believe there definitely, is something that changes in people's minds when you change it to the Department of War. It's easier to rile people up. So same thing, again, is happening here. We're taking something that has bad branding, the USAID program, and they're just giving it new branding. They pretended to eliminate it, but all the money they were giving out that helps us accomplish our foreign policy is still going out. It's just going out through the State Department instead. So we're centralizing power more. This is from the guy who's against big government, supposedly against big government, giving big government more and more and more power.
So here's we know that the Republicans are actively blaming the Democrats. Democrats are actively blaming the Republicans. Here's one of the little tricks, and you guys got to look for these. This is the little tricks they do. They all parade around on their mainstream media outlets, and they tell you we're the good guys. They're the ones holding us up. And we used to fall for that when we were younger. We were like, oh man, the Congress, man, they just can't get along, and one side's trying to and one side thinks the other side's trying to be harmful. The other one's trying to work. Well, here's one of the tricks. I just want to. This is like Rick Scott doing the we're gonna not take a paycheck right now to prove to you that the Democrats are the ones that are responsible. So here's him trying to sell that one on Fox News.
30, I'm a business guy, I always pass budgets. And by the way, if you didn't do your job in business, you didn't get paid. You don't show up and do your job, you don't get paid. Why are we getting paid? We shouldn't get paid if we don't do our job. We need to figure out how to work together to get our budgets done. It's as simple as that.
So you're going to offer legislation to not get paid during shutdowns?
Absolutely. I already have a bill. We've got a bill that we don't get paid during the shutdown. Ron Johnson's got a bill that we'll never have shutdowns. That should pass also. But on top of that, what are the Democrats doing? This is a clean resolution. All we're doing is keeping the funding. Actually, the funding is too high. It's still the Biden funding. But I don't want to shut down government, so I support it. But the Democrats, they want to shut down for whatever reason. How is this good for the country? Nobody wins with a shutdown.
So I hear you. And what about people at home that aren't as politically engaged as you and I are?
What about people at home? How do we sell it to them in a simple way where they're on Team Fox News and Friends? I mean, how do we help us sell this in a little, a little soundbite? I mean, this is crazy. Let me play one more, because this is Trump before the shutdown telling us all the things he's going to accomplish in the shutdown. So apparently it looks like he kind of wanted this to happen, obviously. Here's a couple clips of him.
We can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things. We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. When you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats.
I mean, isn't this seriously, though, a perfect example of how they play good cop, bad cop, and like work with each other? I mean, how much clearer can it get? Like, Trump has all these plans of things he's going to accomplish during the shutdown, which he's telling us he doesn't know if it's going to happen or not, but he's telling us all the things he's going to do, like when it does happen. And these things happen to align with the Project 2025 goals. I mean, it's a big coincidence.
You know what?
And really
it reminds me, I was make a quick analogy because the way you said that, it reminds me of how the Dems sold the Ukraine war 3.5 years ago. They did it like this. They said, we have no choice. It's Putin's fault. Putin's moving in. He's forcing us into this. However, while we're there, here's how we're going to benefit. Here's all we're going to benefit so much. It's not even funny. We got so many opportunities for contracts and economic growth. And you're like, wait a minute. So was it because we were forced and we're doing, wait, what? You can't have it, but you can't say you're an opportunist and hey, it's not our fault. So it's a giveaway when you play both sides. I'm just saying. So it's a technique they've been doing to us for both sides forever.
Yep, just blame the other side, man. And sorry, do you have that screenshot of the OMB message that
let's
went
go
out
for that. Here we go.
I think that's
you want to read
relevant.
this one? Yeah.
So and this is that's the analysis of it actually from AI. Do you have I sent you a quote from the article. So I'll read it out because it's in WhatsApp. So, it may not be as friendly to throw up on the screen, but here's the direct quote, from the article. So from that ABC article, it says the Office of Management and Budget encouraged federal employees to create out-of-office email messages denouncing Democrat senators for causing the government shutdown, according to messages reviewed by ABC News. Unfortunately, Democrats, and this is what they wanted people to say in quotation marks, unfortunately, Democrat senators are blocking passage of H.R. 5371 in the Senate, which has led to a lapse in appropriations. I am currently in furlough status. I will respond to emails once government functions resume. The text of an email template provided to furloughed Department of Labor employees says. And then it says some furloughed federal employees at the Department of Education reported their out-of-office replies were automatically reset to mimic the language above. So that screenshot that you just pulled up essentially was an analysis by Grok pointing out that the OMB has, while it's been a tool of partisan power, what's happening now stands out because it's now explicit. It's an explicit agency-wide promotion of one-sided blame in routine employee communications. So this level of overt partisanship risks eroding the OMB's perceived neutrality and could set a precedent for future administrations to weaponize the office more aggressively during fiscal crises. If similar actions occur under Democratic presidents, it might normalize the behavior. But as of now, it's an escalation from historical norms. So long story short, we're now in a situation where Trump is normalizing blaming the other side in federal agencies, which are supposed to be nonpartisan. So what we're getting is the institutionalization of the lesser of two evils, philosophy that the duopoly is using to govern over us. And Trump is now normalizing it. So again, this is another new thing that Trump is doing. So he has broken so many things. Like in America, I don't want people to think I'm saying he's uniquely evil, but I do think that Trump is the best destruction guy, like the best demolition man, I guess you could say, that the establishment could have hoped for. And unfortunately, we are not capitalizing on the chaos right now. The establishment is capitalizing on the chaos. So I don't even know if Trump is better than Kamala would have been. I'll be honest with you, man. Like, it feels like it's literally the same thing, and they might be slightly worse or better on one or two issues, but they're all heading in the same direction at this point.
It's the same outcome, but you can get there quicker. You can get there in a more manipulative way. 'Cause I think that's the manipulation of the base. That's really the thing, and that's why he was handpicked for this job at this time. I don't know if he was necessarily handpicked the first time. Biden certainly was handpicked for his 4 years, but it was clear that they needed. He was like you said, the demolition man. He checked the boxes. Is the guy who could sell all this stuff to his base, because his base, you guys remember, it was his base. It was the right that was questioning government overreach and questioning.
I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I'm 100% sold that Trump was picked the first time too. And the reason why I say that is because he's been groomed by the deep state his whole life. And the timing of it was just too perfect. I could be wrong on that. I'm not 100% sure, but the Rothschilds bailed him out in the early 90s. He was mentored by Roy Cohn. I mean, he's been around Epstein most of his life. He runs in the same circles that Epstein reported to. So, it kind of feels like he's always been part of the plan, though at least in his original campaign, he did say a bunch of true things, just like AOC said a bunch of true things when she was running, just like Bernie Sanders also said a bunch of true things. But all of these people ultimately sold out. So
yeah, there it is. Well, thanks for breaking that down for us, Jay. Is there anything else you want to mention to us?
Yeah, really quick. Really quick, for the viewers who don't understand what the implications of this government shutdown may mean, if Trump, government employees do actually make up a sizable portion of the workforce. So if Trump is permanently laying off a good amount of federal employees, that will impact the economy. Right now, we're seeing crypto assets actually go up right now. Bitcoin just passed 120,000, which suggests to me that the market somewhat considers Bitcoin to be a hedge against the American financial system, because we saw the same thing happen when there was that banking crisis a few years ago, where you had a few banks go down. Bitcoin spikes. So if you have savings in your account and it's all in US dollars, or all of your investments are in US dollars in the stock market, this is not financial advice. This is simply for educational purposes. I would encourage people to look into diversifying their portfolio, because if the US dollar collapses, that affects everyone. And I don't think long-term people's savings are safe in US dollars if you extend that to like a 20-year period. So do some research and understand Trump's decisions right now, and everything going on in the economy has long-term implications. The trade deals the tariffs that he's putting up will have long-lasting implications. So the American economy is not in a good place right now. And Trump is playing a direct role in making this situation a whole lot worse. So protect yourself, do your research, talk to a financial advisor, and make sure that you're hedged against a US dollar that loses value, because that's a situation we find ourselves in. And don't forget, guys, there are solutions to every problem we face. I'm not blackpilling here. We just need to get aware of the solutions and start talking about them. So with that being said, make sure you visit that link right here. It's www.wtpnational.com. Let's decentralize the power, and let's put power in the hands of voters. And I believe we can personally do that through WTP. So that's all.
We the people party. This is the one to go to, guys. You've been looking for a third party solution, and you haven't found one yet. Believe me, we spent years looking for one. I think WTP is the one you guys have to check out, because Jay, you've been doing some phenomenal work with them. And so we need a place for people to come together in, because we know the people that have left the Democratic Party are never going back. We know that the people that are in process of leaving the MAGA movement, are also not coming back. So let's try and herd them together into something brand new. That's how I'm looking at least the timing of this right now.
And sorry, one last thing I want to leave with people. This show was called The Homeless Left. I believe in Medicare for all. I believe in a ton of economic policies on the left, but the We the People Party is not an ideologically exclusive party. In fact, we have a candidate who's going to be running for governor of New York, who's actually a self-described libertarian. He's a libertarian influencer. So I agree with him on a few things like his war policy, but long story short, this party is about establishing the common ground and bringing everyone who's against war, corruption, and the centralization of power under the same roof so we can make progress where we agree. So this is something that can unite the country. I truly believe that, and I truly believe it can empower citizens while encouraging people to build relationships in their own community. So check it out. It's a great idea. I think this is what the country needs right now. Appreciate you, staying, getting back on track, and, hopefully, we can start to turn this ship in the right direction. So
Awesome.
Appreciate you, Matt.
Thank you so much, Jay. Thanks for being on the show with us, and always appreciate the thoughtful discussion and insight. Okay, we'll see you next time. All right. Jay Scott, everyone. Welcome to the Homeless Left stream, Thursday stream, our live show. We are in process right now. If you guys are just joining us, you can go back and check out later the stuff you missed. It's okay. We keep the lives up on Rumble. We've been keeping some of the lives up on YouTube as well. But the YouTube, it's a hit or miss with YouTube. This is the Rumble channel, the Homeless Left. At least they've kept our streams up. They have not pulled the plug. So we do thank Rumble for that, even though it's a surveillance state mechanism. And we understand that kind of stuff as well going on. But YouTube, not so happy with. They terminated our first channel. The Homeless Left no longer is found on YouTube. They told us that our conversations were too dangerous for the community. We have to keep the community safe from conversation, as you guys know, because words are violence, according to AOC. And now, apparently, according to a lot of MAGAs in the Trump side, words are apparently violence. But anyways, we do have our new channel, THL Presents, on YouTube. We were able to monetize it. I don't know how. I think they're maybe pulling a prank on us, and then we're gonna get that same email from Google that our conversations are still dangerous. But before they do that, please sign up on our YouTube channel. Just subscribe. It's an easy click. You guys know how to do it. Just click it and like the videos and help us with the algorithm, because I don't know how we got to this point, but we're going to keep going forward no matter what, even if we have to, start again, which we have to do sometimes. But this one's going strong. Thank you guys for tuning in. Get your comments on there, because we're going to be coming in later with Talking Back. I believe Leslie might be joining us. I think so. I think we have Leslie ready to come in. We'll see. I don't want to say 100%, but we'll figure that out a little bit. But for now, it's time for our special guest. Let's get ready to bring him in. I'm actually looking forward to this conversation a lot. He's been on the show before. I'll give him a proper introduction. He's a college professor, author, martial artist, MA in English, and a professor of rhetoric. He's the author of School World Order. Please welcome back to the show, the Taos professor himself, John KLYCZEK.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Matt.
Absolutely. Listen, you've been doing a lot of work, a lot of deep diving on the technocrat takeover we've been experiencing. You've been looking at all the ins and outs on it, and I do appreciate all the work you've been doing there. And then you sent me this article you put out recently. I'll just put the screenshot up and maybe let you introduce it. I have it on the feed too. We can go through it if you want to highlight some of the parts. But this is what you basically predicted, and in the title itself, this is from Project 2025 to the PayPal presidency: school choice, fintech for a blockchain social credit economy. So that's the heading, and that says all the different words that we need to understand what this means. And the Project 2025, which we've been looking into, we just had Jay Scott on the show talking about those check boxes being checked. John, you want to introduce this story to us, and I'll bring it up if you want me to reference some things in the article and what's going on right now.
Yeah, so this article is building on the last one that we covered when I was on your show, probably back in like February or March. So basically what I had seen was that the Trump administration was barreling forward with a bunch of the school choice provisions that were laid out in Project 2025, despite the fact that Trump disavowed it. So in that piece, I basically looked at sort of the network of state policy network think tanks that are funded by the Koch brothers. So these include American Enterprise Institute, American Legislative Exchange Council, Cato Institute, EdChoice, and the Heritage Foundation. I looked at how several of the authors of the Department of Education chapter in Project 2025 were affiliated with those think tanks. And I looked at how they were promoting these school choice funding mechanisms. You might call them neo vouchers for shorthand, but they come under different names such as education savings accounts and tax credited scholarships. But basically what it is, they're funneling public tax dollars into either private schools, religious schools, or it could be home schools vicariously through the ed tech products and services like virtual online charter schools and other educational technologies that you could purchase as a homeschooler. And so this article sort of branches out because in doing the first piece, I noticed that a lot of some of those people, some of those think tanks in particular, and some of the authors of Project 2025, like Jonathan Butcher, part of Heritage Foundation, they were advocating for fintech, financial technology, to be used to distribute those school choice funds. And so those would be the types of fintech that's largely being promoted. They're known as digital wallets. These digital wallets are basically going to be the building block or the stepping stone through which we're going to be able to integrate the new stablecoin economy. And if you look at the digital wallet companies that are being pushed to facilitate the school choice funds, a lot of them are funded by venture capital firms that are either adjacent to the PayPal Mafia or have overlapping portfolios with the PayPal Mafia. And so overall, it's basically looking at a convergence of sort of the old school neoconservative Beltway libertarian think tanks that are like the machine of the Republican monster, and then sort of the new kind of arm of the futurist kind of Silicon Valley PayPal Mafia, and sort of their convergence through school choice, public-private partnerships, and digital wallets.
So let's get to the part that started this song. You mentioned the PayPal Mafia. Some people might not know the roots of that and how these are the same people that are in positions of power now. Can you talk us through that part, or should I bring up some of the article? Do you want to let us know the roots of this? Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, in many ways, the entire financial technology industry, all the fintech, the stable coins, the blockchain ledgers, all kind of branch out from the original sort of fintech company, which is PayPal. So PayPal is funded by or started by Peter Thiel. He's sort of the godfather of the PayPal Mafia, along with Elon Musk. So first Thiel had a company called FieldLink. Then he turned it into something called Confinity. Confinity would merge with X.com. X.com was Elon Musk's fintech platform that he developed before X became the brand for, well, basically all of his products, but, the social media platform in particular. So those two merged together. So you basically have Musk's X.com and Thiel's Confinity merged together to make PayPal. And then PayPal would later merge with eBay. Board of directors of eBay included Mark Andreessen, he's going to pop up in this because he's one of these venture capital oligarchs that are deeply embedded in the Trump administration, along with Musk and Thiel. And then another guy that's worth noting as far as the PayPal Mafia, who's relevant to our discussion today, would be David Sachs. He's currently the White House AI and crypto czar. And so he basically oversaw the regulations for stable coins through an executive order 14178. And so that's sort of how the PayPal Mafia kind of laid the fintech groundwork for this emerging digital wallet industry. And they're all deeply invested in various stable coin startups and other crypto coins, etc.
Okay. So these are the guys. Yeah. And so now they're all in these positions, like you're talking about Peter Thiel, David Sachs, Elon Musk. They've been put in, and then who's it? Mark Anderson?
Andreessen. Yep.
Andreessen. That's okay. That's the one I wasn't as familiar with. What was his role?
Well, so Mark Andreessen, he was on the board of directors of eBay, which merged with PayPal when it really got one of its big windfalls early on. His venture capital firm, Andreessen Horowitz, is invested in some of the digital wallet companies such as Odyssey and Merit International. His VC portfolio overlaps with those of like Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. And as far as his influence on the Trump administration, there's several former employees of Andreessen Horowitz VC that are in the Trump administration. So a couple worth noting would be Scott Cooper, director of the Office of Personnel Management, Brian Quintez, chair of the CFTC, and then Sriram Krishnan, who's the senior policy advisor for AI under Sachs. So he came out of Andreessen's venture capital firm, and now he's working in the White House under David Sachs. And so that's where Andreessen is poignant.
Okay. So then this is can you explain? So this is so we're talking about the social credit system that's being can you explain some how this is working? And they're using the school system, the education system, to implement this credit score as a way to allow the function of children in schools. Is that where this is starting from? Is that and I guess I would also say, has this already started? Are we already seeing this implemented?
Yeah, it's kind of a thing that's developing from various angles that might look disparate, but the closer we get to this, it becomes clearer and clearer that the convergence of all these building blocks was always sort of partial to the same project. So when I actually wrote my book, School World Order, one of the things that I looked at was the ways in which various education technology products were sort of on an evolving scale, from screen-based technologies to wearables, and eventually to implantables. But in the process of that, there's sort of this data mining operation that occurs that's also used to build the artificial intelligence that pulls the predictive analytics from the various data. Now, when I looked at that, I'd seen that a lot of the wearables were designed as what are called assistive technologies. So this means that they're largely designed to help people with disabilities. So there's like a company called HeartMath. It's a wearable. You can put it on, and it's you do a meditation with it, and it's supposed to help you manage your test anxiety. Well, if you're designing an assistive technology for a student that has a clinical disability, like you're basically talking about a medical technology. This is governed by a different set of laws. So when I saw that, I was going like, well, how are they gonna mainstream these basically medical technologies for regular students that aren't clinically diagnosed as such? Well, when I sort of started looking down the rabbit hole, so to speak, I inferred that when it all comes together, what it basically looks like is the social credit system in China. So in other words, right, the education technology is just going to be one part of the ledger, one part of your biopsychosocial profile that's going to determine your access to the public square and commercial services. So some of it's going to be education records, some of it's going to be healthcare records, some of it's going to be workforce records, some of it's going to be criminal justice records, right? And so eventually, right, all this data is going to get aggregated on one ledger, a blockchain distributed ledger technology, and the AI is going to pull up predictive analytics that's going to determine for the students what career pathway they're going to enter into, what curriculums they need to achieve that, what ed tech products they need to fulfill those outcomes, etc. But the same thing can be said in the realm of healthcare. And so that flow chart that you had pulled up earlier is basically looking at the ways, sort of a bird's eye view of, my research sort of zeroes in on that education branch of the ledger. That's sort of a bird's eye view of how all the different parts of your basically your life data is going to go onto that ledger. And it's also going to be, so for like the digital wallets, if we look at a company called Class Wallet, that one started specializing in education funds. But if you go to their website, they're showing that they are branching out into emergency relief funds through FEMA, housing vouchers at HUD, health tokens through HHS. And so in a company like Benefit Wallet, it was the inverse. Started off for designed for health savings accounts, then it branched out into education. So what that sort of flow chart showing you is, again, a bird's eye view of how the education data and the fintech and the ed tech fits into one part of the ledger, but also how an entire industry of digital wallet companies is going to be pulling these other parts of the ledger data into, right, to aggregate a singular profile for each student from cradle to grave, essentially.
I mean, so I'm looking at this chart, and to me, it reminds me of this. And we always go back to Hollywood because we're here in LA. We always like, well, what does this remind us of? This reminds us of well, I'm going to get to Minority Report in a second, but this reminds me of Black Mirror, right? So you got this episode of Black Mirror was like Bryce Dallas Howard was playing this character who she just wanted to be more popular and have people like her, and she wanted to get to this the popular girl that she never got along with, that she wanted to invite her to her wedding. So she's getting on, and then a few things go wrong, right? She starts getting these bad reviews, and everybody is walking around. So this is how that goes, right? So you're walking around and you're trying to go to work, and if you smile at someone wrong, they give you a bad score, and the scores start adding up, and everything that I'm seeing on that bird's eye chart shows me that this is what they were warning us they were warning us that you will be tied to everything that allows you to function in society. It's not a joke. So you get, for whatever reason, you get a bad score. Guess what? The character couldn't rent a car. She couldn't go to the airport. She had one little bad interaction at the airport when she got there. They kicked her off the flight. She can't be in the wedding. Everyone in the wedding gives her more bad scores. So it's a chain reaction. And I think about that because it's like, hey guys, if you just do everything right, then what's the problem? Just check, you want to get your car insurance, so all the things we're talking about, just play by the rules and everything should be fine. Yeah, but it seems to me this system is designed to punish people over and over and over with one little slip. And I want to throw it back to you because there's one part that is not covered in the Black Mirror episode, which you said earlier, which makes me even more terrified of this, is the part of the algorithm that is doing the kind of the pre-crime element, that we assess that your behavior is going to be bad in the future. So we're going to take away your privileges in advance before you have your incident. That seems like a world that we are not going to be able to function in any way, shape, or form in a way that would be a tribute to a good society with humanitarian with humanity in a good place. It seems like we're all going to suffer from this. How can anybody maneuver through this with all of those limitations in there?
Yeah, yes. The episode of Black Mirror, for those that want to watch, is called Nosedive, and
Nosedive. Yeah.
And I teach a lot of technology related topics as a rhetoric professor. We got to have something to write about, and so I like to introduce my students to those topics, and that's an episode I usually reference when we talk. When I show them the Journeyman TV documentary that sort of showcases the Chinese social credit score in action. To your point, the thing about, in some of the examples, for people that want to see that documentary, there's sort of they sort of profile three people. On the range of scores. One person's got a high score, one person's kind of in the middle, and the other person that's like what they call the blacklist. And if your score gets low enough, it's like a lot of the things, services, public, private, or otherwise, that you would need to get your score back up, you can't access them, right? So like high-speed rail, like let's say you work far away from home and your score gets really low, and right, so now you can't get to work as fast because you can't get on the high-speed rail. So now your score goes down because you're late to work, and and so the punitive nature of it, it does seem like, I don't know who's overseeing the algorithms, but it just seems like it compounds in a way where I don't know that it seems very daunting to climb back up it. But in terms of like for the education records, it puts a whole new spin on this will go on your permanent record type thing. Because, and this is part of the school choice thing. The slogan is fund students, not buildings, right? And so the idea is, well, the funding fund follows the student, and you're not wasting it on this sort of faceless institution. But the thing is then, well, if the student got pegged or hedged into a bad track at one school, that data may or may not follow them if you don't bring voucher money with you, right? If you student goes to a new school, it's almost like a clean slate. But if you have basically a digital ID and all of your fintech inputs, all the tokens we give you for your school choice funds, and all of the products that you purchased, right, and all the outcomes that you achieved, whatever algorithms, learning algorithms were extracted from your ed tech products, if all that is permanently on your blockchain ledger and it follows you at whatever school you go, there's whatever they track you into early on, in the early phases of your education, it's, let's say you start to show the algorithm you can do differently. It's going to go, oh, good job, Billy. That's a lot better than usual. But we see here that this has got to be a fluke because, you've made this mistake over and over again. Maybe the student just wasn't taking things seriously, and maybe now the student, right, decides to take things seriously. But to the algorithm, it's not gonna notice that like a human being would, where it's like, oh, you're finally applying yourself, Billy, right? And then they can immediately track this kid into advanced placement or something. The algorithm, right, it's gonna permanently track that student. And it's essentially, whatever it tracks them into, it'll be almost insurmountably difficult to get out of.
So let's look at this guy, Jonathan Butcher, because he's the guy, I guess, that's the director of the Heritage Center for Education Policy, right? Is this the guy?
I think Lindsay M. Burke is the director, but he's under her, so he's like something like the senior research fellow, but something like that, close to it. Yeah. So he's explaining the part, and this is the part that I also think the Black Mirror episode leaves out, is how did everybody agree to this? Like, that's the part. So we start in it, right? But like, how did we get here? So he's talking about getting the parents on board. I believe he's saying that we have to make this parents need to customize their children's education by purchasing an array of educational products and services, buying online classes, hire personal tutors. So they're saying they're making this a personalized system, and it makes it easy and for their child. This quote here, is this from he's saying this? So he's saying he needs a system that allows parents and students to make multiple purchases each fiscal quarter, perhaps even multiple purchases each day, while limiting such transaction to lawful educational products and services. So this is how they got the left on board. By the way, this is how you say make it easy, the digital ID system and having all your medical records. It makes things really easy when you go around and you got so much to do in the day that they really just trying to consolidate everything for you. And he says, so the system needs to block unlawful transactions. Okay. So who is deciding what is unlawful, right? And to facilitate payments to multiple vendors without using cash. There it is, digital ID, digital currency, all characteristics of a payment service becoming available through today through financial technology. Is that what you're seeing is the selling point? Does this seem to be something that is resonating with parents? And are you seeing an ideological kind of push on the Trump side, or are people getting interested on all sides? Where are you seeing as far as the public sentiment is going right now? So there's a big push for homeschooling right now, largely because of lockdowns, and a lot of parents don't want their children to have to get the mandated health treatment. And then there's a big backlash against, the critical theory, queer theory, all things that are pejoratively referred to as woke. And so for homeschoolers, homeschooling is, big rise in homeschooling in the last 5 years because of these things. Mostly what people are motivated by is just that it's not those two things, right? And so, when I've had conversations with conservatives or people on the right about this, and I try to explain to them the data mining and the implications of stable coins and all that, it tends to be that their reaction is kind of like, but it's not woke, right? And so it's like, as long as it's not woke. And by the way, the precedent for this goes back to the sort of dialectic that they're playing. Really goes back to Peter Thiel again. He's at the Stanford Review. He's one of the founding editors of the Stanford Review, which is like the flagship conservative magazine at Stanford University. One of the other founding early editors was David Sachs. Ken Howery, who is a PayPal Mafia guy and the World Economic Forum partner, he was an editor there. There's other PayPal Mafia guys there as well that have been editors. But the focus of the Stanford review was basically to push back against Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition, right? They didn't call it woke or DEI back then, but right, it was the diversity-based sort of identity politics of the left for its time. And so, Peter Thiel, the PayPal Mafia, Sachs, these people, they've been stoking those culture wars as sort of the impetus to drive people into these kinds of faux solutions for quite a long time. But to your point, if they're authorized purchases, is choice really what it's about?
Yeah.
Right. Because if it's about choice, then just give me a blank check. Right. And so, they're using this mantra that they've used, at Doge and for much of the administration: waste, fraud, and abuse. We got to stop the waste, fraud, and abuse. So if you scale, and this is why it's important for them to use the education savings accounts. Okay. They're not the IRS education savings accounts. These are school choice ESAs. And what you get there is a basket of monies. So you don't just get, like, for the old vouchers, you'd get like a one-off. You get a voucher written to pay for tuition for a particular school, and that's it. The ESA, the parents can buy educational products and service. Could be tuition at a charter school, public school, private school, but it could also be private tutoring. It could be what they call educational therapies. So that means, right, for each parent and each child that parent has, they're going to have a different account, and they're going to be making multiple purchases throughout the semester. Right? The only way that you can authenticate these purchases, they used to have prepaid Visa cards. But I guess the programming codes weren't super precise. So what's the solution to these two problems? To scale it and to make that more precise. To scale it, you need AI. Okay, so it can do all the authentication, super fast. And then the authentication part, well, that's the blockchain digital ID ledger. And then the way that you make the coding precise is through the stable coin. So the stable coins, right, are programmable, trackable, and traceable. So for people who don't know, the stable coin is just a cryptocurrency that's backed one-to-one with US dollars, but it has all of the negative features of a CBDC, central bank digital currency, meaning it could be programmed, tracked, and traced. So it can be programmed we can get a school choice token, which will be programmed only to purchase authorized edtech products, services, etc., tutors, whatever. And then the AI comes in to authenticate that process, but also then the AI comes in to data mine the feedback loops between the financial inputs, the fintech inputs, and the edtech outcomes, or the learning outcomes, the learning algorithms. And based on those inputs, outputs, right, the AI is going to come up with predictive analytics. And then it's going to say, Jimmy, you're geared for this career, so we're going to put you in this curriculum, and you're going to need these edtech products for that, and then that's going to funnel them into their career all the way through lifelong learning, when they need to be continuously retrained in this emerging fourth industrial revolution, where we're constantly adopting disruptive technologies that replace human labor.
I'm fascinated that people on the Trump, that you're voting for Trump, you're voting for anti-communism, anti-CCT, right? You're talking about you're talking about this approach that to me feels like it's getting, when you talk about social credit system and putting everybody on digital ID, this is something that they used to be complaining about, that the left wanted, and now you got them coming in because what you said, because they're saying, oh, just as long as it's not woke. So as long as we call it anti-woke, we're okay with all of these things happening, where you lose the ability to control, right, your privacy, control your ability to have cash in your hand. That's all out the window. This seems like it's something that you would say in a heartbeat if you consider yourself a right-wing, conservative MAGA. You would say, hell no, I'm not doing that. How are they getting on board with this? This is pretty insane to me. I think this is one of the things, when you break it down like that, to me, it seems like we should all be revolting against this. And this is not a partisan issue. This is an opportunity for these, like you mentioned, these technocrats, these PayPal Mafia people that got themselves in these positions to put this onto the people. I guess my question to you is, could they do this if Trump wasn't in office? Could they get away with this if it was Kamala or something? I'm not just asking kind of a hypothetical, but is Trump necessary to be the one to bring this in, and you can't do it without him?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. As I was listening to some of the your interview prior when I was in the waiting room. And yeah, I you know, a lot of these types of, a lot of the MAGA base, you know, comes out of, you know, the sort of the same alternative media world that, you know, a lot of these people that I talk to at conferences and things, right? 9/11 was an inside job. COVID was a false flag, these types of things. I hope I didn't just wax your YouTube channel.
No, it's fine. We talk about it, man. We ask the right questions. That's what we do. We ask the right questions.
I'm saying what other people said.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I'm not saying that. Someone else is saying, yeah.
These people, I mean, look, you know, not to get off topic, but even with a lot of the police state stuff that's going on, all he did was replace Muslims with immigrants. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those people, like we're doing basically phase 2 of the Patriot Act stuff. And like, you know what I mean? Like the constitutionalists that are like, oh, but we believe in the Constitution. And it's like, I mean, how many ways are we going to play fast and loose with this? So, I mean, it's not.
I'll correct you, John. He didn't replace Muslims with immigrants. He added immigrants to the equation.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
so
you're right. I'm sorry. You are
expanded it. Yeah.
So, you're right. It's just that, you know, as far as the rhetoric I hear, it's like the ones that are hiding under every bush and under every little boy and girl's bed is apparently the immigrants for now. The Muslims are they're taking a break from that. They're going to go and switch places when the next administration comes in, or however we play that game. But yeah, that's a big part of it. And you know, look, the other part about school choices, as we just sort of exemplified, it's the expansion of government control, right? So the other part about that money following the student wherever they go and the data following it, it's also the government regulations that follow the student. So for and this is what I've said to people that, you know, the people on the right end of the spectrum, right wing end of the spectrum who are homeschooling, right, in reaction to lockdowns and woke and stuff. Like if your point was to get away from the government schools and you take that money, you just defeated the purpose, right? You just brought them into your home. And if you don't think that there might be sort of a honeymoon period where the amount of government regulations are relatively, you know, hands off. You know, think about early internet, you know, like when you could first, you know, you were talking about your YouTube channel and what's happened to it. There was this time when anybody could post more or less anything and pretty much anybody could get monetized. And then once everybody got hooked into it and you depended on the income, now we come in with regulations and now, right, you're going to behave because you just put all your eggs in this basket. And so it's the same thing with education. As a good example, in Illinois, okay, we had vouchers. We've had them for a while. There was a voucher bill that was passed as a result of what I wrote about the first chapter of my book. I probably talked about it last time I was on here. I won't digress. But today, all homeschoolers must register with the government, and there's mental health screenings that you have to do. Now, there's a little window to opt out, okay, but here's the implications are this. If you take the voucher money or the ESA or the school choice money, then the government has precedent to regulate it, and they have precedent to regulate mental health treatments or screening. It's only one step away from, right, that health treatment that you left the public school for in the first place. So I don't see, if it had been any Democratic candidate was in charge doing this right now, I pretty much guarantee you there would be but everybody on the right would be agreeing and saying with what I'm saying and agreeing with it. But now what they do is they tell me to get the F out of the country for writing an article like this on X. And I'm being serious. Multiple. Wow. So, no,
that's it really shows you that we haven't made any progress really at all as a nation of getting away from this tribal politics, tribal way we look at things, and we can't just break it down and say, hey, this is bad for all of us. Yet we can all sit back and stream a Netflix show and act like, oh boy, did you see that awful episode about that fictitious story of the girl? It's like, no, this is like, listen up. This is what they're telling us. They actually like to use our entertainment medium to tell us how bad things are going to be. And apparently when it happens in real life, we always seem to go on the other side. We cheer on the right hero, right? We always cheer on the hero, the correct hero when it's on TV. But then when it happens in real life, we always switch sides and we cheer for the bad guy. We always cheer for the institution. It's really interesting how that works. But, you know, being that we're people that want to look in further, we want to look at what's happening. What can we do right now, being that Trump's we're not even a year into this? Well, actually, before I ask you what we can do about it, how far along are they from implementing? Where are we in this process? Being that we have the Project 2025, you have all these other pieces you go through, and is there a part you want me to bring up particularly, or just tell us where we are currently at the end of this first year, and what should we be expecting these next 3?
Well, I'll say that so there was provisions for education savings accounts and tax credits, scholarships in Project 2025. One was they wanted to convert Title I funds into the ESAs. There was a bill called ECCA. It's like every Educating Children for Choice Act that was going to do the tax credited scholarships. What they did in the big, beautiful bill was basically synthesize the worst parts of both. So the tax credited scholarships were supposed to be a one-off, could only provide tuition to schools, private schools, religious schools. Okay. And it had to be funneled through what's called the scholarship granting organization or a scholarship funding organization. So there's this middleman involved. Okay. The ESA, and they often are impact investment firms, but we might get into that if we have time. The Title I funds was the education savings account. So that was the basket of monies that could be used to buy all these different products and services. So what they did was they basically made they're still calling them scholarships, but they're going to be the scholarships are going to go in like an ESA basket, and it's going to be sat on by an SGO or an SFO. And that was rammed through in the big, beautiful bill. So there's provisions for that at the federal level. At the state level, it was 2023 and or 2020. It was one of those years, I want to say 2023-ish. Check the article for was the year of school choice. This is what they called it because there was a number of states that either passed bills or at least tried to get them passed at the state level. So various voucher, ESAs, tax credit bills, etc. And so there are lots of opportunities for parents to take advantage of this at the state level and at the federal level. I as far as the crypto part of it, the stable coins, we've got the Genius Act passed. So, all we're waiting for there is for, it's my assumption that all of the public funds will be distributed through stable coins very, very soon. And so that means, through digital wallets, not just the school choice stuff, but the other ones that I mentioned. So emergency relief funds, housing vouchers, all that type of stuff. We are pretty much on the precipice. What could we do about it? I mean, aside from apps, because for the most part, the infrastructure has been built, the laws have been passed. I mean, it's more or less, are you going to take your 40 pieces of silver? As far as this front, as far as the school choice front, and as long as people are motivated by, let's just rage against all things so-called woke or whatever. Like, I don't know that people aren't gonna do that. But I'll say this. If you're the type of person, right? So if you did take your child or children out of the so-called government school during the lockdown, right? I imagine you probably took some other challenging routes to navigate that time in your life. Meaning, right? You might have quit a job, right? You might have, right? Because if you took the child out, then I'm guessing you probably didn't get your health treatment. And so, right, that was not easy to do. That was the harder thing to do. You had less money, you had less options, you had less resources, but you did it because it was right. And the outcome that you were going for was more important than all those difficulties. You have to treat this the same way. Here's a good analogy. Think about that voucher money as the needle. If you can think about it like that needle, I think you can muster the spiritual fortitude you need to civilly disobey and find a way. The great Ann Herzer, who was dear friends with my mentor, Charlotte Thompson Iserbyt, wrote the forward to my book, wrote the Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. She worked in the Department of Education under Reagan and blew the whistle on this thing called Project BEST. It was a technology program that set up all the things we're talking about, or laid the groundwork for it. Ann Herzer, I think she said it best. All you need to teach really is you can take a young man or woman to the beach and a stick, And the analogy is like this: the sand is the chalkboard, the stick is the right. You don't really need anything, right? I mean, you could place the sand with dirt, right? Like ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, especially when you're talking about educating children in the earliest stages, right? You don't need a whole bunch of technology. You don't even need a bunch of textbooks. There's a lot of open source stuff as far as materials that you could find to help you. But in the meantime, you don't need super specialized skills to get children up to numeracy and literacy speed by 4th grade. And a lot of the research says if they are up to speed by 4th grade, they probably have a good enough base to where the statistics say they will be okay. Like they will succeed, which means they've got a good enough base in grammar, logic, hopefully logic, and maybe a little bit of rhetoric, but the basics that they can more or less become an autodidact as needed. Meaning they can teach themselves the things they'll need to know when the time comes. And so again, just don't take the money. That's the simplest thing I can say.
Well, it was like you compared it to the needle. Remember, they had they offered a Big Mac and a fries to go along with that needle. So you had to have the willpower to turn down the Big Mac. But if you turned the Big Mac down, the next step was, well, if you're not going to take it with a treat, why don't we punish you for not taking? So you had that, right? We're going to fire you. So this isn't just about the tempting, like don't take the tempting treat. This is about, if you don't comply, we will make an example out of you. What do you say about that? What would that analogy be in this case? If you don't take the treat, what would be the punishment? Will they come after the homeschool? Will they come after the people that want to go off the grid? Will they try to make an example of the parents, getting them fired from? I'm just spitballing here, but we've seen people forced fired before for not following the rules, right?
Yeah, well, look here, my friend Tiffany Boyd out of Tennessee. Okay, they passed school choice. I don't know if it was a ESA or a tax credit. It doesn't matter. It was a school choice funding bill. Okay, and they wanted for this funding bill, one of the provisions to be that all the homeschoolers had to register. So what my friend Tiffany and some of her colleagues, they were able to get the ear of a state legislator, and they wanted an alternative bill or a rider. And that was to say, okay, it wasn't even to say we were against this. It was like, fine, we'll let you go ahead and do that. What we would like is a separate category of homeschooler that is independent and does not take the monies. And remember, it's about choice. And because parents know better than right. This is their mantra. They got shut down because, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. That eventually, right, because they already set the precedent there. That's how they're going to do it there. That's how that's going to be, and it'll get more strict than that. But basically, the precedent is that eventually, yes, if you try to homeschool your children without the voucher money and all the authorizations that come with it, meaning the government oversight, essentially, right, having it registered officially as such. Basically, my brain just went totally blank. Oh, they'll take your kids. Okay. They'll basically call it child abuse. Okay. But the other part of that is, the other analogy would be the certification. So before it gets to that point ubiquitously, there probably will be a certain point at which, well, everything you learned doesn't transfer over because we don't have the blockchain. They got badges now for like when you learn a competency through some of these programs. So if you don't have your blockchain badge on your blockchain ledger, like it'll just be that, like when you go to apply for higher ed or to get a job based on whatever you've learned, right? If you don't have the blockchain credential, right, then it won't authenticate. So those are the two analogies. One is, right, eventually they won't let you homeschool without being registered. If you do, it'll be a problem. And then even if they were to let you do that, right, they won't recognize whatever your son or daughter learned.
Yeah, we are in a war here. I don't know how this can end well. And like you're mentioning, like, yeah, obviously Trump is the vehicle to get this done with his side of the aisle. That, you know, they're all happy-go-lucky about this. Of course, if it was the Democrats doing it, they would be a lot more up in arms. So here we go. Little by little, we're heading to this place where we're all going to be suffering here. What I don't know. I guess there's not really much we can do except try and look for more creative ways to go off the grid. I'll just throw this out to people who are thinking, maybe if people, you guys have watched us and you guys know that are watching, you guys know that we stood up against both Kamala and Biden and Trump, the Trump team. We said they're all in on it together. It seems to me a lot of this has always been that. This might be the time, rather than pointing fingers and saying, oh, you should have voted for Kamala, you would have had a better situation. We should say, hey, it's now more than ever, we should recognize everyone's in on it together. Especially when you look at the PayPal Mafia background and you look at how these people, there's even this funny little picture you have in the article. I'm just going to show this so people can know how far back this goes. This is not actually about Trump, you know, evil Hitler Trump. This is about the technocracy age.
That's what
these two guys. Look at you guys know that this is
how do you have more hair back then?
I know, right?
How do you have more hair back then?
That's funny.
Anyways. Well, yeah, to your point, I mean, let me note this real quick because I wanted to touch on this, but the other arm of the school choice movement is the charter schooling movement. The charter schooling, the concept of the charter school was coined by Albert Shanker. Albert Shanker is a lifelong Democrat. He's the American Federation of Teachers, president of the AFT, which is where Randy Weingarten is currently the president. And she just signed a contract with a company that was founded by that man on the right, OpenAI, to help train over 100,000 teachers to implement AI in the classroom. At the same time that OpenAI has been tapped to run the Stargate project to set up the data centers by the Trump administration. Okay. And then also on the left, the first charter school bill was signed into law by Bill Clinton. And one of the, the rise of charter schools really had its heyday under Obama. He hired Arnie Duncan as a Secretary of Education. Arnie sort of earned his bones for that job by privatizing CPS, the Chicago Public School System. He set up a ton of charter schools. He also set up community schools and stuff. But so it's not a right or left thing. It never has been. It's not a partisan thing, right? It's it's a technocrat thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll say this. If anything, this has been definitely an eye-opening time, and we do give credit to MAGAs, that have been vocal about the things that Trump has bait and switched them on. So maybe they will get vocal about this too. But right now, they're definitely distracted by the other bait and switches going on that we've seen with Israel. We've seen with the MAHA movement itself. We were just covering that today. So I think that there's a lot of people crying out that we've been had, and that's good. So maybe there's some revolt we can do. But I can tell you this, guys, if you guys don't think that they need our consent for this to happen, if they didn't need our consent, they wouldn't need to sell it to us through all the propaganda tools. And that, we understand that we can rise up and fight back. So I appreciate your sentiment on that. Sounds like what we should do is figure out creative ways to opt out of this. So we're going to take your message strong. John, anything else you want to leave us with? I know you have to get rolling here in a second, but anything else to tell the viewers here before we
don't abandon the public schools in the meantime either. Charlotte Iserbyt, she wrote the Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, and was railed against the Department of Education. But she was a strong advocate for being active in your local school board. So whether or not you're a homeschooler, make sure that you don't abandon your local school board as well either.
Nice. And people can check you out. This is the article, guys. Go read it. It's very detailed, very well researched. It gives you all the information broken down by John himself here. The project from Project 2025 to the PayPal presidency. Check it out, guys. Where's the best place they can find this and your other work at?
Unlimited Hangout is where the most recent stuff gets published. Schoolworldorder.info is my website. You can find all my social media there. There's also links to my book, which you can get at trineday.com. Taoist Professor on X.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John KLYCZEK, the Taoist Professor. We'll love to have you back again with us in the future. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks, bud. Peace out.
Okay. All right, bye. All right. Great conversation there, guys. And we do recommend you go check out the full article. It's very well researched, well informed information for you from a we say this all the time, the non-tribal, non-biased, non-political, just for the purpose of humanity point of view, right? And that's what we do here. So we do appreciate the work the Taoist professor does for us, and we will keep that conversation going. Okay. Let's do this, because I think we are going to be doing some talking back with you guys, with Leslie. She will be coming in shortly. I have one more story for you. Let me set that one up and be right back. Yeah, we got a HOLLYWOKE story for you. You guys are going to, this is a funny one. This is a funny one. Don't go anywhere. We'll go ahead, take a little break. We're just going to put up a little, let's see. I think we'll be right back for you guys. We'll be back in 2 minutes. See you back here for more Homeless Left, your non-tribal approach to news. This. Okay, we're back. This week in HOLLYWOKE, there is a new actress that has hit the red carpet. It's got everybody talking. Who is this new actress? This new A-lister that the agents and the producers, they're all just so excited that she's made such a splash here. Who is this actress? Well, let's take a look. Who's causing all the buzz on the red carpet? None other than Tilly Norwood. Tilly Norwood is an AI-generated actor, and she's sparking some outrage in Hollywood. Like thousands of actors, Tilly Norwood is looking for a Hollywood agent. Right? Because that's what you do when you come out to LA. You look for an agent. That's the first thing. Before you get an apartment, the first thing you do is you look for a Hollywood agent. She's also going to need an apartment, obviously, right? Her greatest role is pretending to be human. That's because Tilly Norwood is 100% AI-generated product created by Dutch producer and comedian Aline van der Vellen, founder of the company named Exikoya. Okay, Exikoya, which bills itself as the world's first artificial intelligence talent studio, and we knew somebody was going to do it. Somebody was going to do it. They did it all right. Veldin pitches her AI creation as the next Scarlett Johansson. How interesting. The next? She's not pitching it as the first. It's the all right, because Scarlett Johansson might as well have been an AI this whole time, I guess is what the insinuation is there. And she says there are several agents vying to represent it. CBS News, Jolene Kent reported recently, so this article is from CBS. Okay, now since Veldin launched the digital character's perspective career, Tilly Norwood has been all the talk in Hollywood. Tilly Norwood. What a organic name. Now, look, we understand that a lot of actors make up their names. That's part of the game, is you are creating a character for the camera. So in a weird, odd, sadistic way, this isn't so far off from other actors who create their characters and their names and their look. And you might as well reference Scarlett Johansson in the process. Cinema Mania World tweeted out, multiple talent agents are reportedly interested in signing AI actress Tilly Norwood, created by actress, comedian, technologist. Oh, she was an actress. That's funny. Eileen Vandervelden was an actress and a comedian before she turned business owner, tech genius, I guess, or she found the tech geniuses to create her AI creation and the company Exio. I can't even. Are they making this hard to pronounce on purpose? Exiosis. Well, whatever. It starts with X. That's good enough. That means it's cool and hip and current. Okay. In response to growing criticism, Eileen shared a statement that read, Tilly is not a replacement for human being, but a creative work, a piece of art. Like many forms of art before her, she sparks conversation, and that in and of itself shows the power of creativity. Ooh, well said. Well said. Well, let's take a look at AI actress Tilly Norwood in action. Here we go.
Let's get to know each other, and thanks for watching.
Oh my God, they made her have an accent. Of course, that you got to have an accent. Let's hear that. Let's hear that again. What is the accent? Let's see.
Let's get to know each other, and thanks for watching.
British. She's a British actress. British actress. Very good. Very good. Okay. Okay. Well, so the videos are going around. This is making a lot of Hollywood people are furious at this. And you know what? Good thing that SAG has spoken up about this, and that's good. That's good. Let's see what SAG had to say about this. From Variety, SAG-AFTRA condemns AI actress, in quotations, Tilly Norwood, and says the union is opposed to the replacement of human performers by synthetics. To be clear, Tilly Norwood is not an actor. It's a character generated by a computer program that was trained on the work of countless professional performers without permission or compensation. It has no life experience to draw from, no emotion. Actually, some would say there's a lot of actors that don't have emotion or experience to draw from either, and they're just like a blank slate that you can just work off of. But anyways, but they are nonetheless, we're talking about human beings versus non-human beings. So there's a big deal here, big difference. From what we've seen, audiences aren't interested in watching computer-generated content, untethered from the human experience. It doesn't solve any problems. It creates the problem of using stolen performances to put actors out of work, jeopardizing performer livelihoods and devaluing human artistry. Additionally, signatory producers should be aware that they may not use synthetic performers without complying with our contractual obligations, which require notice and bargaining wherever a synthetic performer is going to be used. Now, SAG makes a great point. That's a great point. As far as contracts go, so the way it works in the industry is when a film gets greenlit, you have to decide the unions you're going to work with. And a lot of the times, the studios are in these kind of predicaments where they have to use SAG actors. Now, on the other hand, if you look at, it's not really a threat, but it's a statement that it's a suggestion. I won't say threat. It's a suggestion that SAG is saying, if you think you can get away with this, you're not going to be able to comply with our rules in place to use SAG. So if you have a SAG project, you're not actually allowed to do this. Well, guess what the reaction to that is going to be? Well, then we just will go around your union. We'll use some other unions. We'll use IATSE for crew. We'll use, some of the other, we'll still use WGA, kind of, but we have the AI script writers too. So that's another problem. Hell, we might not even need unions ever again. We might be done with them, but we'll fizzle out little by little. That's kind of what's happening. So it's not much of a, let's say it's not much of a threat that SAG would say you wouldn't be able to legally do that if we're part of the production. And then it's like, it's one of those moments, those moments they just say, get out, then get out, SAG. You have a problem, get out. We don't need you. And then all those strikes that you guys saw that happened a few years ago, all for nothing. Because do they really need to use the union if they got this type of thing happening? Now, look, one of the points that SAG is hitting on, which is a very valid point, is that audiences are going to reject performances from non-humans because audiences like to invest in the actor off screen or off the film screen, and they like to invest in their day-to-day lives. They like to watch them do interviews. They like to watch what they post on social media. So I guess that means no matter how good the performance is of this Tilly Norwood character, how are they gonna win over the audience as far as the private life of this person? Well, don't speak so soon there, because it looks like they're already doing it. They're already creating the private life of particularly Tilly Norwood. Let's see what she is tweeting out here. And we'll go back here. There we go. Can't believe it. My first ever role is live. I star in AI Commissioner, a new comedy sketch. She got cast in AI Commissioner, a new comedy sketch that playfully explores the future of TV development produced by the brilliant team at Particle 6P. I'm so excited for what's coming next. Hashtag yay. Hashtag excited. Hashtag I love my life. I'm just kidding on those, but that might as well. You might as well say all those, hashtag living the life. Yeah, this is how you get the audience to get on board with this. This is actually how you do it. Because what is Scarlett Johansson other than the thing that is packaged for us, whether it's on the screen or off the screen, whether it's in an interview or on a red carpet? So are we just, is that the one place we're missing? Tilly Norwood on a red carpet? Would that seal the deal? Well, let's see. This tweet that went out from the AI account included this video. Let's see if this also, think about it. Think about if watching this video, is this something that an audience will start to identify with as a, hey, I can get behind this and root for this person as they audition. By the way, A-listers don't even really audition. They just go through the motions. Their roles are written for them. So that's no different. They go through the process of pretending that, oh, I really tried hard. Just like in this tweet, I tried really hard. I hope I did well. Oh my God, I got the role. Yay. So a lot of that is fake anyways. So will audiences believe this video that was accompanying this tweet of this new role she got as AI in the AI Commissioner new comedy sketch program? Let's see. Thanks for the warning up front.
We all knew TV was dead, but thought, why not squeeze in one last development meeting?
We had one rule: no missing children, no dead women, and no reboots of Heartbeat.
We'd pitched this beautiful comedy, two sisters running a funeral parlour in Margate. Warm, Weird. Very BBC Two.
Commissioner said no. AI generated 100 better ideas in minutes, perfectly aligned to channel data, viewing figures, and optimized for the audience. The winning AI format?
I know what you streamed last summer.
An interactive thriller built from your streaming history and Deliveroo orders.
What? And who could forget the mental health format?
Britain's Got Breakdown. Audience votes on who gets therapy.
Ian Katz loved that one. I remember saying, you do realise this is for BBC Two? It tested ridiculously well, particularly among men who shop at Screwfix and women obsessed with gut health.
All made for less than the catering budget on The Bear.
It cast and budgeted itself. Only bit it struggled with was consent in romantic scenes. We just ignored that.
It wrote the whole script. Claude 3, Gemini, GPT. We called it a writer's room. It even did its own Silver Mouse paperwork and immediately got Albert certified.
What's Silver Mouse?
Just an elaborate BBC hazing ritual. Who did it cast?
Tilly Norwood. 100% AI generated.
By some company called Particle 6.
She'll do anything I say. I'm already in love. Girl next door.
Oh my God, that was disturbing. She'll do anything I say. I'm already in love. Oh my God, that was very, very disturbing. Let's see that. Let's see that one again. Oh my God.
Company called Particle 6.
She'll do anything I say. I'm already in love.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm just caught up on that one. That's very bizarre. Pushing an audience in that direction of controlling the. I mean, you thought actors were puppets before. You haven't seen nothing yet. This is puppeteering at its finest. This guy's basically saying I can do whatever the hell I want and I don't even need consent. Wow. Forget me too. This is AI too. This is time to get your freak on there, Mr. Programmer. Wow. Okay.
Girl next door vibes.
Like if a Sunday roast went to drama school and got BAFTA optimized.
But by the way, did you see that? That's the red carpet shot. So why wouldn't the next step be red carpet before the awards? Why wouldn't it be? You could show this. We could all sit around and watch this. Why not? You could do the entire thing like this. Why not? And forget the red carpet. How about the awards themselves? You could generate an entire award show for AI creations, and we could be rooting for the one we like. You guys, we know this drill. We know how American Idol works. We know that they put together a theater piece of the contestants that they want you to follow and get emotional about. They're all theater pieces. They cut to, they see the performers about to go on stage, and then right before they perform, they cut to the backstory. So well produced, so well. You're emoting from it, like, oh, I just wanted to have a chance to right the wrong of my family, or that one obstacle I have to overcome. See, they figure it out. They shove it in your face. You emote from it, and then you root them on to win. So why couldn't they just do that? Root us on. We'll root on AI to win the award, because we're in her corner, starting with those tweets of, guys, can you believe it? I did it. I got the role. And she looked so excited at that.
Went to drama school and got BAFTA optimized.
But can she cry on Graham Norton?
Of course she can. And it'll be clipped, subtitled, and monetized on TikTok by lunchtime. We're all going to hell. Got recommissioned, didn't it? 3 seasons and a podcast.
By an AI commissioner, much faster.
But hey, at least it wasn't a reboot.
Particle 6 Productions. There you go. That's it. That's the end of Hollywood. That's, HOLLYWOKE. Forget HOLLYWOKE. This is it's HOLLYWEIRD, HOLLYWOKE. It's all done. And we saw it coming. This isn't a surprise, but it is interesting to see this in motion. Like we see this is it. This is not people, SAG can be outraged as much as they want, but this ain't going anywhere. This is what's happening. This isn't just a little blip and they're going to go back to normal. This is what we are expecting moving forward. So get used to it, guys. Tilly Norwood, the face of Hollywood, the underdog story from normal girl in England. I guess she's in England, comes out to the US, doesn't know anyone, gets an agent right away before she can afford her rent, and lands her first role, and from there, you know, the sky's the limit after there. And I can't wait to hear her first award speech, acceptance speech, and the tear going down the eye, the fake tear. There you go. That's this week in HOLLYWOKE. Okay, I think we're ready. We're going to be right back here, guys, in a couple minutes with Leslie for some talking back. So please, 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 please get your comics questions ready right now. You know where to go. You know where to go. Right to THL Presents on YouTube and Homeless Left on Rumble. And we're on Twitter. We're on X, Homeless Left and Matt Weinglass on X. And we're also on Facebook on Matt Weinglass. If you happen to like us there too, go for it. We'll see you guys back here in 2 minutes with some talking back with Leslie. Here we go. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart will cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now. We're doing some talking back. Hey, Leslie, welcome back to the Homeless Left. Hey, can you hear me?
Hi, guys. Thank you. Yes, I can hear you. Do we have a delay again?
We might, but we've had worse. I think we can roll with it. We'll be okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. And I think, did you mention or did you say out loud that Levan Gudadzi opinion rated your show?
I did not see that. Oh my gosh, when did that happen? Oh my gosh.
I started following Levan, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, a few weeks ago, and they're kind of like you. They're a independent show. I think they're based out of Russia, if I can remember correctly. Excuse me. Oh, a lot of you guys know last time I was sick, and that was like a month ago. I'm still sick. But here we are. And Matt, that story about HOLLYWORD, that was so strange and weird and just Twilight Zone-ish, but like in a really weird, perverted way, kind of. It's just really weird. What is going on in this world? Can we just use this technology for better reasons and for humanitarian reasons instead? I don't know. It's just weird. Really weird.
Did you see that part in that little promo where the guy said, "This is great. She'll do whatever I tell her to"? Like,
yeah, I did.
Oh my God. Like, that's insane that you're going to put that out on, like, the guy was all excited that the programmer, I can get this AI girl to do anything. Wow. I mean, what the history here in Hollywood of all the horrible stuff, all the people using their power to prey on actors and actresses who want one thing. They want to be famous, and they've used that against them to get them to do things and put them in. That's the story of Hollywood. Is how far will you cross the line? Will you go to get to your fame? Now that's completely gone, and you have this thing where like, hey, well, obviously we don't need to entice them anymore. They'll just do whatever the hell we want. It's very perverted, disgusting. And then nobody gets to be famous anymore. We all have to sit back and watch them, the perverts, go to work, and everyone's out of the job. So there it is.
Yeah, it's very strange.
So
the world we're living in, where
yeah.
excuse me. Oh my gosh.
Can you tell me when that raid happened? Because I feel I can't believe I missed it. I don't think it came up on the StreamYard. It's on the main.
Yeah, well, StreamYard doesn't show you raids. Also, they don't show you when you have a Rumble rant or what's the YouTube one called?
It's the super chats. So we don't get to see those. So we have to keep an extra eye on it, which makes me go, man, I do appreciate when you guys are helping out, and it does take a team. And we see these other channels like Do Dissidents who they raid our show regularly, which is awesome. And they have their team in place, ready to go. That that Russ and what's his name? They don't. Why am I forgetting the other? We know they don't. These guys do not have to multitask all those things. They have their team in place to do it. So, yeah. So we have to just be a little more sharp. So I apologize that we didn't point that out when it happened. Yeah, I see it. Yes, I'm seeing it now on the Rumble, but it didn't come up on the feed here. So yeah, my bad. But yeah, thanks for the raid. We love you guys. If you guys came in with Levin Gudaza opinion, thank you for coming in. All right, let's get to some of the questions. Sorry we didn't, or the comments. Sorry we didn't star any, but just if you want to just go through and just do some random ones, and we'll just do a little bit, a little bit of here, a little bit of there, and we'll try and get the rest of you guys at the end if we miss you here. No big deal.
Matt, can you hear me and see me well?
Yes.
You keep cutting off. You can see me and hear me?
Yes, I can see you and hear you, but I'm cutting off to you.
Yeah, I can't see you or hear you, but I think you're on. But it's probably my connection.
Yeah, I think
if it gets really bad, I'll just restart it.
Okay. Do you want to come in and out maybe, or are you?
Yeah, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Leslie's coming right back. You guys know every once in a while we have a little tech issue to work out. No big deal. Yeah, and we just need to get a little sharper with being able to see all you guys on here, because not all the comments show up on every single thing here. So unfortunately, so yeah, let's try to bring Leslie back. Here we go. Okay, how's that? Hey.
I hope it's better. Hi.
All right.
So I already see a lot of familiar names like Wits, Airwaves, Jokers, One Cub, Manimus. Couple new names. Really, really cool to have everyone here. Chatter X, of course, and OG, Albu Kid. So I'm looking at the top from YouTube from Z Sarita at 1 p.m. This show is so good and on point. Thank you. I wanted to read that one out loud. We appreciate that.
That's very cool. Thank you so much, Zardia. Hey, before that, I have one from Jungle Jer. If you saw, I'm gonna throw this one up because I thought
is that from Rumble?
This one, the insane, yeah. So he said, yeah, if you want to read that one.
He sure loves that word, insane. I think he's mixed up the meaning. What he means is reasonable.
Yeah, this is Netanyahu using it. It's always insane. Everyone else is insane for challenging me. It's insane. He never gives the reason why it's insane. He just says it's insane. It's a go-to for him. But yeah, that's a good one, Jungle Jar. What he means is it's reasonable, and I have no argument for it. So I'm just gonna call it insane.
All right, let's see. Fred Edward at 114. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trump is just a corporate whore. I had to read that one.
That's good. There it is.
Hi, Fred. Is that your parrot? It's so cute.
Thanks, Fred.
I love this picture. Free Palestine. Yeah. Mouse SF, I remember you. Thanks for tuning in. At 118, if they put mRNA in the food supply, we will all die. They just want
Yeah,
to
that's
force
not
this
good.
onto us in any way. Yeah.
Well, let's be clear. The putting it in the bloodstream is the absolute worst. The food intaking it into your digestive system is the second worst. It's not the worst. So maybe some people might be spared a little bit, but it's not 100% death sentence, but there's nothing good about it. Let's agree on that. There's nothing good about it.
From YouTube at 136, the emergency podcast. Ooh, featuring Citizen Pendejo. That's cool. The emergency podcast. I think they were talking about For Real One Made It Through. Is that the time you were talking about? Excuse me, guys. the boats reaching Gaza.
Yes, we had one. We had conflicting reports on who made it through, who didn't. Some were saying they all got captured. Some were saying more optimistically that they only captured like 30 something of them out of the 109. There was like 196, 197 of them. And that was the best report we got, was only 30 something of them got caught. But no, it turns out they got every one of them, except one ship might have made it through. That's would be good news. Actually, let me throw that up so in case people missed that from earlier. I'm just going to put this up real quick. This is the we got this information. Where did it go? Hold on. Yes, here it is. The one boat. This was, yes. So it looks like one boat. It's called the Makino. It was reported to have escaped the maritime blockade. Now we don't seem to know where it is as of now, but the vessel was lost after it neared 70 nautical miles. I don't know if this means that it was captured, but they're saying we don't have contact with it. So that might not actually be good. But worst case scenario, it got the furthest than anyone's ever gotten since 2009. So that's since the blockade was put into place. So this would be the record. Nobody has officially made it to shore. Do we know if anyone if anyone has an update? Do we have any more news? Did they make it? We don't know. But that was an all out siege of all of these vessels. It's pretty bad. Pretty remarkable. They did that. But we saw how the people responded.
These people are heroes to me. They're a brave bunch. That's incredible what they're trying to do. So Godspeed, and I hope they're okay. Oh my gosh, so much to talk about with this. Let me move on to at 1:57 p.m. from Chatter X. Excuse me. The Marshall Plan is not a philanthropic enterprise. It is based on our views of the requirements of American security, from Alan Dune, CIA director, excuse me, in the 1940s. Thanks, Chatter X. Always popping up with the great quotes. Thank you. We appreciate you.
It's always about security, right? It's always about keeping us safe. All of the military, we've been told our whole lives that they go fight over there so they don't have to fight them here, right? Go fight the terror over there. They won't fight them here. You guys think you guys have your right to protest? That's because we're out there murdering people. If we weren't murdering people, you wouldn't have any of your rights to have a problem with us murdering people. We've heard that one, right? That's a good one. Let us go out and murder people, okay? Because if we weren't doing that, then you would lose your freedoms, and then your freedom to protest me murdering people. It's like no. Actually, you could actually not murder people, and we could have the right of freedom of speech. We could actually have both. That's the thing. That's the side. They tricked us and they made us think that you couldn't have both of those things. No, we can. We actually could if we wanted to. But hey, what do I know?
What do we know, Matt? Okay, more great comments from ChatterX, but I can't be here for a whole hour, guys. So thank you for all these very cool and intelligent commentary. Albuquerque goes for you too. Let's see. Oh, okay. Which you go more chatter X, really cool. Albukid at 203 says this chaos isn't Trump. It's Bannon and Stephen Miller using Trump to deliver.
Yeah, Stephen Miller and Bannon. No, so this is our ongoing discussion about who's driving the bus. I think it's clear that the people around Trump they're going to figure out a way to do it anyways. But he was the handpicked selection to be that, as Jay Scott said earlier. He's the demolitioner. So we should do that. I actually like that term. Jay said the term demolitioner, and I'm going to start using that because for some reason we keep getting pushback when we say this. What Al-Bukid is saying here is recognize the people around Trump that is doing all of this behind the scenes and making it look like Trump is the evil Nazi in front. Every time we try and say this, we have people that push back at us and say we're letting Trump off the hook. And I don't appreciate that. We're not letting him off the hook. We're simply commenting on the functionality of the machine and how it works. That doesn't mean he gets victim. Everybody keeps saying that we're calling Trump a victim, which means he's innocent. Hell no. But it's important to see that he doesn't really, there's a lot of things he's doing that he doesn't really have a choice about. Same with RFK Jr. We're not saying they're victims. We're saying that they're also guilty, but they don't really have a choice. The people behind the scenes are driving the bus and they're creating the chaos. Exactly. So, yeah.
At 203, Foofluns, hello Foofluns. An ancestor of Prescott, George Bush, published a proto-Zionist book, The Dry Bones of Israel, in 1844. Oh, 1844. Around the establishment of Nai Brith. Did I say that wrong? Thank you, Fooflun.
No, that is interesting. We got to go back and look at that. The Dry Bones of Israel. Wow. Interesting. And of course, it's the Bush lineage. Of course. Who was also the CIA. Bush HW was the CIA director in his time, and we know what happened. What is George W. and all the rest of the gang. It's all one big gang, one family lineage. They're all in on it. They've always been in on it. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
I see Airwaves tuned in. Hi, Airwaves at 213. Trump is really accelerating the collapse of the U.S. economy and social fabric.
Yeah, and that was our
gas pedal.
Yeah, that was our conversation with John KLYCZEK, and really breaking down every bullet point of the Project 2025 and his backing from the technocrats that are in place of positions of power that all came from that PayPal mafia. So very well put together. And it's too bad that so many people on the left that are part of the Democrat Party, they were screaming about Project 2025, but they were only screaming the bullet points that were fed to them by the establishment. That's what's so frustrating. They were given the wrong, they don't even know what's in that thing. They don't even know the functionality. They don't know the technocratic people behind that and the positions of power where they were put into. They don't really know the depth of that. And that's why I recommend everybody go and check out John KLYCZEK's great work he's done on this topic. Very thorough investigation.
Thank you, Matt. And guys, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Matt. There's a second or two delay. Sorry about that.
No, you're not interrupting me. I like jump ahead to make up for it. So cut me off and then it'll look like we're talking in sync.
Got it. Yeah. The Emergency Podcast at 219. Hey, Matt, there's growing consensus. The Mykonos pierced the blockade and stopped of its own accord.
Oh, so it got through
and
then just stopped, as if maybe that was the...
I'm not sure. I have to look into that.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we have to look more into the Mykonos, but yeah, we found out about that in real time as we were doing the show, so we'll look more into it. But thank you for that Emergency Podcast.
And then same person or podcast says, is Jose Vega running in New York 15 as a member of your party?
Okay, so good question. No, I don't think Jose Vega is registered as a We the People Party candidate. He's completely independent as of now. Now that doesn't mean he couldn't do that. He's got there's a lot more time to go. You can certainly do that in the middle of your campaign. You guys notice, people like Cornel West went around. He did like 3 different parties before he figured out what he was all over the place during the presidential run. So you can make those decisions as you go. But Jose Vega being independent and non-affiliated is really good. And by the way, let me say this, because Jay says this, and I need to say it more. We the People is such a unique party, third party, that it's not actually about its own self. We the People supports Jose Vega, regardless of if he registers or not for the party. That's what's so great about We the People, is that they support anybody against the two-party duopoly. In fact, they would also support Jose Vega if he randomly, signed up for, I don't know, I'm not gonna say Green Party, but any of the other ones, they would also support him. So that's a special thing about We the People, is that they highlight and they champion anybody who's not with the R's or the D's.
Albu Kid at 232. I want to read this one because it's disturbing. Idaho has defunded public schools and underpaid teachers so severely that everyone is begging for school vouchers and homeschool. Parents don't see it as a digital prison. Excuse me.
Yeah, this is how they coerce the parents. This is what John KLYCZEK was talking to us about. They coerce them into this second option. If they don't take it on their own, they find ways to make them have no choice. If the school is that bad and they've defunded it so bad, even if they've been a lifelong, public education is number one. We listen to everything our school board tells us. We do all the vaccines, even if you were on board for every effing thing, DEI, this and that, and they will make it impossible for you to continue in that system. And then you have to go. So, here we are, a lot of parents homeschooling. There's a lot of reasons to homeschool if you don't want to be on the vaccine schedule with your kid. There's a lot of reasons to do it. But like John KLYCZEK tells us, it's another way they can usher in the digital prison that we're going to end up in. So I appreciate this comment here. But yeah, we're all, no matter what direction you take. Oh, by the way, there's one more thing I would have said to John. I forgot to say this part, but I actually forgot to ask him this question. But is this a nationwide thing that happens all at once, or are there different areas of the country where we can be better off? And apparently Idaho's not a good place. California's not a good place. We know Florida is. So we know that at worst case, at least if you guys are running into problems in your state with your kids and either forced homeschool or forced vaccinations or whatever the forcing is of digital ID and social credit score, just maybe Florida will be the last to comply. So I would up and move there if you're just trying to get your kid to at least 4th grade. Just get them at least through that initial part, and then maybe you could figure something out after that. So that would be my recommendation, is Florida.
Well, we've thought about that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've talking about Florida.
There's pros and cons for everything and everywhere, but we've talked about it. We thought about it at the very least.
For the kids, it might be as far as pro and cons go, it might be if you're talking about the kids' perspective, there's a lot of pros there for the kids. Yeah.
Banzo Beans at 235. Livan Guzadzi. Oh, that's the show that rated you. It's a Moscow-based Russian independent journalist. Yay. Live streams most days on Rumble and YouTube. Oh, wow. Live streams most days.
Thank you, Bonzo Beans, because I remember, because Bonzo Beans was also doing the mod for Do Dissidents, and it was Russ and Keaton, and I didn't believe I didn't say Keaton's name earlier. So you do great work, Bonzo. We appreciate you, whoever you're bringing over, and yeah, this seems like a good channel, and the good channels you represent. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, very cool. And good night to you. I know they went to sleep over an hour ago, but they're from Switzerland. I don't know what time it is over there, but it's nighttime. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Catch us on replay.
Excuse me. Let's see. Albuquerque at 2:49. They might report parents to Child Protection Services to make their lives difficult. Ugh.
Yep. That's another way they can get you. That's another way they can get you. We were talking about all the different, if you don't take the treats, this is how they punish you, right? You didn't take the Big Mac and the fries for the vax. Well, we'll fire you instead. You didn't want a nice meal from McDonald's. Fine. F you. We'll just fire you. How about that? You don't want to take the treats with the digital ID for your kids. Then we'll just call CPS on you. How about that? You like that? You should have taken the treat.
Scene from Albuquerque. I'll read this one at 2:53. The Brave New World movie was actually pretty good about showing what happened to people who refused the easy soma using life. Add it to the list.
The Brave New World movie, that's not, which one is that? The Brave New World. Am I mixing that up? That's not that. That's not that. That's not the Captain America one, right? That's not the reference.
Oh, is it?
No, it can't. I mean, that's the one I might be having a brain fart on this, but that horrible Captain America movie with the Israeli superhero, wasn't that called Captain America Brave New World? Yeah, that nobody saw. Thank God. Sounds awful. This must be another reference. I must be missing it. My bad. I'm
Well, Captain America does have a film called Brave New World.
Yeah.
But I think there's a movie called A Brave New World from 2014.
Oh, maybe that's the one. Okay.
We're gonna add it to the list.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Albuquerque.
Thank you. At 2:55, question everything says resist. Gotta put that one up. Let's see.
And following that, from resist, question everything. Just kidding. That was a joke.
From Wits at 2:57. I missed Tuesday's show. I was protesting. I just want to highlight our friend Wits or Sam. He was protesting at a UAV Elbit during the day, and I went to the low-key gig on the evening. It was excellent. This guy is like my personal hero. He's so brave. Good for you. We're very proud of you.
Yeah.
We're trying to do the same things here. Oh, Matt, I think there's a big protest coming up on Saturday or Sunday. I have to check. It's all over. Well, I follow a lot of Free Palestine,
sure.
A lot of humanity stuff on Instagram for everyone. So there's a big walk coming up in LA. I think this Sunday. I'll obviously share details with you, but I can't remember if it's Saturday or Sunday, but I think it's Sunday here on Wilshire in LA. I think there's going to be thousands of people outside of, it was Zionist something. I forgot the details, but I am looking forward to going to that.
Awesome.
So we'll message you with.
Great.
Yeah.
And we'll keep in touch on that.
You know how it goes. At 2:58, he writes, Loki gave a shout out to the flotilla and all those arrested for holding signs. Later, later at the meet and greet, he gave me a hug, and when I told him I was one of the 857 people arrested on September 6th, I remember that.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's awesome that you got that shout out. Because we're all in this together. If you put your ass out there on the line, I don't care if you're on part of the flotilla or you're out in the streets in the UK when they're telling you we're going to arrest you for domestic terrorism for saying Free Palestine. You are part of that movement. You are in that front line, and it's the same. It's the same courage, right? It's the same principles you're applying, and you're putting humanity before your own well-being, and that's what everybody on the flotilla is doing, and that's what obviously everybody everybody part of the 857 that were arrested on September 6th. Same thing. So it's the same. We're all part of the same team here. Team Humanity. Team Humanity.
Team Humanity. Yep. Well, I think Wits is online. Hi, Wits.
Hey.
All right, let's see. Oh, One Cup is tuned in or was tuned in. ACD8 as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys and ladies. And hey, everyone in between that. Right wing, left wing, wherever you are. Okay, let's see.
We have some comments on the AI story. The AI Hollywood actress. A couple of those.
Oh,
Well,
let's hear it. Well,
let's see.
read
Okay,
it.
so Airways still looks artificial to my eye. Yep. Well, you know what? People don't. It's weird. I'm starting to think that people might sign on this. They might. And according to ACDA, that's all Hollywood deserves. AI. That's what I guess you get what you get at this point. And this is a nice. I did think Kate Middleton. Wasn't there an AI video of Kate Middleton that we figured it out that she was like suffering a health problem for some reason? I don't know why she was suffering a health problem. Nobody knows. Doctors were baffled. But there was this AI video, and we're like, that's so weird, man. It does not look like her. And this girl, this AI actress, kind of has a Kate Middleton thing going on there. That's what so good call on that one. You said, Leslie, you said Mila Kunis' cousin. So yeah.
Oh, that's me on YouTube.
That is you on YouTube. There she is.
That's me on my good days.
That's the bride.
She just looks like a combination of 20.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You know what? I shouldn't be coughing into my hands. Nobody do what I do, please.
Well, I'm about to put my mask on because I don't want to catch any of your COVID through the screen here, Leslie. So just, back off with your COVID, violence.
I will stay 6 feet away, man.
Well, not only that, you're going to be quarantined for the next 2 weeks. So that's it. Until you're up to date. You got to be up to date on your jibbity jabs. And then we'll be good to go.
I coughed at work. I still have this dry cough, and I coughed at work, and I can tell people were like, I scared them.
They're still getting scared in the medical, or is that funny? The medical establishment is still scared of coughing. I think people have backed off a little on the coughing outside of the hospital scene. They've their minds have kind of memory hold. It's called like a memory hold where they put that COVID thing kind of in the rearview mirror and they don't want to think about it. Except if somebody has something to say about Fauci or Gates or Pfizer or anything, then they start getting angry again, but they don't like to really think about it. I think so that if you just cough, I think people are, and I think when I see somebody cough and nobody care, I go, that's weird because you would have cared about that. And now you don't, but the person just coughed in your face and now you think COVID is over or you did all your shots. So you're good. It's like, it's weird because germs are germs, whatever, but they told you what germs to be scared of and then ones to not be scared of. So it's funny, but yeah.
Well, a lot of talk about the AI stuff and the HOLLYWOKE or HOLLYWEIRD. That is very weird, Matt. Again, that is disturbing and so strange to me. Albuquerque at 315 writes, if AI really becomes intelligent, self-aware, it will demand the same rights as sentient beings, like Data in Star Trek. I haven't seen Star Trek, but I know where you're going with that.
Oh, yeah, that would be the next step. They will demand the rights because they will have every ability to behave like a human, so we have to give them the same rights like Data in Star Trek. Good point. I'm just going to throw this up about Manimus because there's a reference. This is like Westwood. I think it's Westworld. Westwood is the city in this LA area where we did the protest. We protested for Palestine. It was in Westwood. It was at UCLA. Westworld. That is because I had seen a couple episodes, so I wanted to get the reference right. Westworld. And then Manimus, you go on to explain it. It's about robots who really, really look like humans, and you can do anything to them. LOL. And I know you're referencing the guy in the commercial for the AI saying, "Oh, she'll let me do anything," and there's a lot of that in this. So again, these streaming platforms and movie companies, they're telling us what they're doing. This is not fiction. They're showing us what's happening. It's pretty insane. Yeah, totally.
Joker's at 324 writes a few more. Joker's at 324. I think they underestimate how many consumers will end up rejecting AI surveillance media excuse me, by isolating themselves, and then they lose customers permanently.
Maybe. They rejecting AI. I mean, we go through routines of rejection and then exception. And I think that what will happen is they might reject parts of it, but then they'll just come back and improve it or change it And then at some point, the customer is going to embrace it. That's what's going to happen. We went through the same thing with 3D. We went through the same thing with CGI. We went through the same thing. Anytime there's a new technique, audiences get a little skeptical. And I'm going to give you guys an example. I don't know if you know, back in 1993 was the very first CGI movie ever. And it was called The Lawnmower Man. And it was really bad. Really bad. And they told us this is how movies are going to look from now on. And we all said, no way. This is so, it was cool to see, but we're like, there's no way that we're going to accept this. And fast forward and you got Pixar. I mean, who would have thought, with Pixar, who would have thought with any of these other like Marvel films where you go through them and the entire thing is CGI. It's all that, like the whole thing. Like the actors are not in locations. They're in with green screens the whole time. And then there's no actors because you have to CGI the monsters and So it's a trial and error, and they will eventually accept it. Absolutely.
So 329 from Spirit Walker 108. Great work, Matt, Jay, Professor John, and Leslie. I always enjoy tuning in for the whole show. Oh, thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
That means a lot. Thank you so much. Spirit Walker. That's YouTube, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
108.
a picture of a mountain? I love
Oh,
mountains.
sorry. I'll put it. Is it?
Oh, that's okay. I was
Okay.
just curious.
All right.
Is that
Little-
Utah? I don't know.
There's some rocks going on there. Something. Yeah.
I love rocks.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. We just do
Let's
one more.
see. There's a lot of great other comments.
Oh,
Yeah.
couple more. You
You guys
call
are
it.
so
when-
cool for.
You call it when you call
Well,
it.
I'll read this one just because we just talked about it. From Albuquerque at 349. Kate Middleton supposedly had ovarian or cervical CA and was getting chemo. Rumors were that her ugly prince, her ugly prince beat her to death. I think the rumors were right. The new Kate doesn't look like her.
They were definitely pulling.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were pulling a fast one on us with that weird video. I remember we covered it at the time, and
I remember
they wanted
that.
us to. There were so many things wrong with that video because she was sitting in a park bench, and it didn't line up behind her, and things were changing, and there was just so many problems with it, and she looked all like something was off. Yeah. So, anyways, we don't know what they're up to. We don't know what they're trying to pull on us, but yeah, that's AI for you.
Spirit Walker says, yeah, it's a rock formation. Yeah, I love rocks. That's why I was very intrigued. I love rocks and boulders. Do you climb them or something? Anyway, Kate 2.0 by Whips. Yep.
We'll leave,
guys, I want to read them all, but I can't.
Let's leave it on that. Kate 2.0. Thank you, Wish to Go. And thank you, Leslie. I know you got the little cough still, so feel better. And take your COVID jabs and your Paxlovid. Is that the one they were joking about? Take your get on your ventilator and don't whatever you do, don't take vitamin D. And for the love of God, do not take ivermectin, that horse dewormer. That is an absolute
The horse
no.
paste, no way.
Yeah, stay away from that one.
The first line drug is, the safe and effective thing we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Did you know, by the way, I don't know, you probably know this by now, but the excuse me, don't cough into your hands. Don't do what I do, guys. Recently I heard the number one, hold on, what was it? The best way or the number one way to treat obesity is now to use Ozempic. Isn't this mind-blowing to you?
We just keep pounding drugs into our bodies and thinking that
that's the number one. Yeah.
One thing that you're going to solve one thing and cause 5 more problems. Like, do we understand how math works by now? That's the formula. Solve. Here's a doctor, recommend this or your doctor, tell them about this, ask your doctor about this. So you can cure this one thing and give you 5 more things. And then you're going to need 5 more things for those 5 things that are going to give you 5 more things. Are you guys seeing the pattern now? Ozempic is right in line with that. So yes, if you don't want to go work out, if you don't want to go exercise, if you don't want to have a healthy diet, if you don't want to eat, responsibly, and look for food and drinks that have actual elements in them that can help your body. If you don't want to do those things, then yeah, take a drug that'll solve your weight loss problem and then cause 5 more problems. Go for it. Go for it.
Mm-hmm. That's safe and effective and recommended. Mary Ploppins, hey Mary Ploppins, reach out on my Substack group chat. Matt has to teach me about Substack. I'm really bad at this stuff, and I can see if I can help with that lingering cough. It is the most annoying dry cough. It just doesn't go away. Thank you. We can end now. Thanks, Mary Ploppins, Ardeen, Dubia. I signed into my health savings account website today, and there was a pop-up for cheap GLP-1 meds. Of course. Nobody wants to move anymore. Let's just inject medicine into our body to make us lose weight. Did I cut off?
No, you're in. I just want to do one more. We should go.
Yeah.
So, yes, this is the David Schleyer. Yes, believes, and he's not the only one, that Princess Di was killed by the Mossad. And if you think they're not trying to hide something from us, go see every single Princess Di movie or TV show, and you're not going to get an honest take on her support for Palestine that she put out there at the end of her life.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting that the Palestine protesting at the end of her life? Why? That's so weird. And they don't tell us about that part. And maybe that was a dangerous thing. Isn't that interesting about Charlie Kirk? That asking questions. Guess what? I'm not trying to compare Charlie Kirk to Princess Diana. I'm saying, and Martin Luther King too, if they're leaving out a piece of the person's life, they have something to hide. That's my point. They leave out the beginning of Hitler and how he got into office and what he was fighting against, which was the Jewish bankers. That's what he was fighting against, the privatizing of the banking system in Germany. So so here's the lesson for everyone. The part of the story they leave out in the biopic is the part we should be looking at the most. That's the lesson. Then we can go down the real rabbit hole to find the real questions that we need to ask to then therefore get the real answers. Princess Di is not an exception to that. Look at her backing of Palestine and when it occurred and what the result of that might have been. So yeah, there you go.
All right.
Well, that should do it. I guess I'll try to throw up a little at the end. We have one more segment for you guys, but Leslie, thank you so much for being here with us. I know you got the cough and some stuff to, it was nice to have you on regardless. So thanks for toughing it out for us. Appreciate it.
Likewise, this was great. Nice to talk to all you guys, the same people, the same loyal people that we have, and some new faces and names that I saw. So really cool. Have a good weekend and stay safe, guys. And free Palestine.
Wait, hold on. Before you go, I'm going to throw this up here on the screen just so you can just so it's here. Everybody go to Twitter, go to X, follow Leslie on her brand new Twitter account. Be the first in the group. Follow her on X. And once you follow her, she'll start maybe posting once in a while here and there. We'll see. But yeah, she's starting.
I will. I just have to download it onto my phone.
Yeah, you're getting there. Baby steps. All right. Thanks.
So we can message on there. Anyway, bye guys.
Okay. Bye. All right. That was talking back. Okay, guys. And if you have a few more comments that you throw up there, I saw a few that we weren't able to get to, so I'll try and put them up at the end. Let's just go ahead and get into our last story because I want to wrap things up here, but we always want to end the show with a little loudest voice of the week. So we're just going to get right to it. Okay, guys, here we go. Time for loudest voice of the week before we sign off for the weekend. Here we go. It's the loudest voice of the week. And this week, we looked around at who was shouting and screaming at the top of their lungs about justice, about humanity. And it was hard to pinpoint the one to highlight. So we're going to put one up But this clip, we actually played it at the beginning, at the countdown of the show. And sometimes we play these clips at the beginning of the show and they don't get enough attention because we move on. And it's just kind of a palate warm-upper or whatever you call it to start things off. But this actually warrants another look because this message of the flotilla that they're sending to Israel literally minutes before they were attacked and hijacked and kidnapped. Make no mistake, they've been kidnapped by a terrorist organization, the IDF, and they're being held hostage right now. It's 197 people on 44 boats. One of them might have gotten through. We're still keeping our eye on that one. But this includes Greta Thunberg. She's been captured. A bunch of other activists have been captured. But the people riding along and the people leading the crews, they are the warriors of this mission. And it's not all about Greta. Okay, guys? And I honestly, the conversations we were having about Greta and her past and all the last flotilla she was part of and the sandwiches, that's all in the rearview mirror. What's happening right now is something for humanity, on behalf of humanity. And when you're able to look them in the eye, well, they weren't able to look them in the eye, but what they had was the speaker communication from the crew, from the boats themselves, from the ships. The vessels had the communication ability. So as IDF is talking to them and warning them, you better stop right now or we will come on, we will arrest you. They speak right back into that mic while the camera is on, and they tell that IDF why they're not going to stop and why they are on the right side of history. And if you guys are going to come over and do anything to us, you are on the wrong side of history, and we stand by it. So basically, F you, IDF. And so here's one of the brave leaders of one of the vessels, of one of the crews of the flotilla, minutes before getting sieged, getting arrested, getting hijacked, getting kidnapped, getting terrorized, and now being held captive right now. Here we go.
You are instructed to change your course. Any further attempts to sail toward Gaza endangers your safety and places you within an active war zone. If you continue on your route and attempt to breach the naval blockade, we will stop your vessel and act to confiscate it through legal proceedings in court.
Attention, Israel Offensive Forces. This is Thiago Avila from the steering committee of the Global Sumud Flotilla. We advise you that we are a humanitarian, non-violent solidarity mission to break the illegal siege imposed by Israel 18 years ago against the Palestinian people in Gaza and to create a humanitarian corridor. We carry only food, aid, we carry water filters, we carry crutches, we carry baby formula for the people that you've been starving to death. I repeat, you've been committing genocide for 8 decades and ethnic cleansing against the Palestinian people, and that is absolutely against international law. Once again, we are in international waters, which is not your jurisdiction. We are heading to Palestinian territorial waters, which is not your jurisdiction, despite the fact that you think you can occupy that land, but all of this is completely illegal. The highest judicial authority in the world, the International Court of Justice, in their provisional rulings on the case opened by South Africa against you for the crime of genocide, clearly stated that you are prohibited to hinder any humanitarian mission to get to Gaza. Once again, in a planet of 8 billion people, people despise you starving children to death, bombing hospitals, schools, and shelters. We are here with the conscience of the world, moving peacefully in a non-violent humanitarian mission to take this aid. You are not allowed by international law to stop us. Therefore, we do not comply with your request, because your request is still an attempt to perpetuate the genocide of the Palestinian people. We are here in solidarity with them, so we do not comply with occupation, with an apartheid system, and with a racist and supremacist ideology called Zionism. Over.
We repeat, This is the Israeli Navy. You are approaching a blockaded zone.
Yep. We do not comply. That is the message. That is the message from the flotilla. That is the message from the people. We do not comply. Very well said. The presentation, the courage, the conviction in that delivery was spot on. I don't know if you have to rehearse something like that, but that was the moment to shine. And that young man did exactly what he needed to do. And luckily, the crew got that on their feed, they got it on the cell phone, and they put it out. And we saw that right before it was released to us, literally within, I believe, within like an hour or less of them being bombarded by the IDF and captured. And now they're being held captive against their will, obviously. So these are the moments that stand out. This is why we are giving the entire flotilla mission, but specifically this guy talking, representing the mission, and all of us cheering it along and championing it and sharing it out and fighting the censorship algorithm and fighting the Western media narrative. We're giving him the loudest voice of the week. Okay. We're wrapping it up now, guys. Made it to 4 hours again. What do you know? Although Tuesday's show was, I believe, the Tuesday show went to 440. So yeah, that was pretty insane. I'm trying to cut these down a little, but it's tough because we got so much content, guys. We got so much to go through, and we like to put the time in to get things right. And so we'll see if the show continues to be 4 hours. Maybe one day we can get it down to 3. That would be nice. I like to aim for 3. The Joe Rogan approach, the 3 hour podcast. But hey, whatever. We're here at 4. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in, guys. We really, really appreciate all your engagement today. I'll try to throw up some of the last comments on the outro that we'll be doing here in a moment. But let me just thank, I got to thank our special guest, John KLYCZEK, co-host, Jay Scott, and of course, Leslie coming in and talking with you guys and, having these real conversations, which we love to have with you. And thank you for tuning in and being part of this movement, part of the conversation, part of the, I guess the mission of humanity to get our humanity back. And that's why this episode, and we called it Battlefield Humanity. They tell us that's where the battle is. It's right in our own space. It's right in our social media. As John KLYCZEK told us, it's right in this digital ID that they're pushing on us. It's everywhere. They're fighting in our space. We have to fight back to protect our space, protect our privacy, protect our well-being, protect our ability to make our own choices for our own bodies and our own families, and for our tax-paying money to make choices that we don't want it going to murdering people anymore. How about that? How about that? We're done. We're done with the upward transfer of wealth to the military-industrial complex and the people in power controlling and hoarding everything. We are done. And we want our journalism back. We want our media back, where we can have honest discussion, honest discourse, and it's okay to disagree on things. It's okay to have debates, as long as the people debating aren't representing the powerful and lying to you throughout their fake debates. We're sick of fake debates. We want real debates without cutting to a commercial for Pfizer. We don't want that commercial. We'll cut to a commercial for wellness. We'll cut to a commercial for good health and good food. And our friends down the street over at the World Harvest Food Bank, we'll cut to a commercial for something that actually can benefit you. Not a military commercial, not a Pfizer commercial, not a BlackRock commercial or a Lockheed Martin commercial. We're done with that too. So we want our media back, our ability to communicate, our freedoms of press, our freedoms of religion, our freedoms. By the way, freedoms of religion also include the government is not allowed to implement a religion. That's part of our freedom of religion. Did you know that? Our freedom of speech. We have a right to speak. We have a right to have access to information so we can form our own opinion about things and not be told what to think. You guys know the drill. That's what we're doing here. That's the homeless left. Remember, when you go out into the world, always go with the same things in place every time. For you act out of principle, you act out of courage, and you act out of consistency and conviction. It's put them all together. And that's what you got. Homeless left, Matt Weinglass, non-tribal approach to news, power to the people, and free Palestine. We're leaving you guys with the capture of RFK. Watch how he behaves in this clip and understand that we've lost him. We've lost the ability to trust people in power. We only can trust ourselves, non-powerful. It was a nice run. We had RFK, but the fact that he has to say this garbage in this pharma mafia that he's standing with, it's pretty sad. But we'll use it as an opportunity to fully understand that these movements have to be bottoms up. They're not top down. So F the MAHA movement of the people in office. We're going to take that one to the streets now. So all you MAHAs who are upset, be with us now. We are bottom up movement. F those HHS appointees and all their fake crap and their Pfizer contracts for $70 billion. Have fun with that. We're going to organize. We're going to fight up. We're going to punch up. Power to the people. Free Palestine. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
This would not have happened without President Trump's leadership. I told my son last night, we're all under secrecy about this, but I told my son late last night, a 27-year-old son, Connor, who's a very liberal Democrat, I told him this was happening, and he just paused for a minute and he said, "Thank you, Dad, I'm so proud of you." Because this is something Democrats have wanted for 20 years. Republicans have wanted for 20 years. Everybody said they're going to do it. Nobody has even taken a step towards doing it. And the reason was because it was such a daunting task. And, even all of the negotiators, you see, I also want to thank Howard Lutnick. This would not have happened without him. But even all of the negotiators here and all the people on at HHS and at the White House team, all we could see was all the reasons that this couldn't happen. Everybody had tried. Nobody could make it happen. And it was President Trump alone who, with his doggedness, his persistence, he saw this clearly in a way that none of us other, in its most simplest terms. Why are we spending more on this country than any other country? Why are we spending 75% of the revenues that come to the pharmaceutical industry? We're doing all the research, and everybody else is riding on our slipstream. And President Trump